comfortable. I'm John Weiss.
Jim Robinson.
Pete Pecos.
Rachel McManus.
Tony Kamorny. Dan Streeter.
Steve Mangin.
Fred Thurl.
Martha Taylor. Elizabeth Mitchell.
And
Ron Barrett.
Ron
Hey!
Barrett.
Fashionably
timed.
late.
Not too late.
Put the magic briefcase.
I like saying appreciably skinnier Ron Barrett too.
I'm going through that cardiac rehab stuff.
Oh, yeah, I can tell. All right, so we're gonna do transportation
Make
first.
that fit.
Or do you have something you wanna hand out before we
Do you
get
want a
started?
newsletter?
No, I didn't get it.
No, do you want one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, you want one? Here.
One.
Here. Yeah. Right, thanks.
Well,
All right, so
okay,
Tony,
good.
Tony, could you, give us, before we get into each one of these, charts or tables, maybe just give us a quick 2 minutes on how you organize, who is part of your group, and how you got to this point, and then we'll go through the details. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
In fact, I think I want to refer people to this page handout that went out
This one.
with the,
This one.
yes. Proposed goals and strategies of transportation element that were distributed back in December outlines just how I determined what the goals and strategies should be. And there were 4 major focus areas that I looked at in developing that first list. And those were the discussions with the Master Plan Transportation Subcommittee, most of
Now, just out of curiosity, that's Steve, that's Fred, that's Jim on this. Anyone else?
And me.
Oh, and you. So you got the whole subcommittee.
So hopefully I've hit everybody's comments here.
Okay.
Well, we'll
And
find
if
out.
not, we're gonna find
Guess
out.
we'll find out, won't we?
I got lots of notes, so.
And that, I did take a close look at the results of the Newbury Master Plan Committee Citizen Survey, specifically question 23, to see just where the relative importance of modes of transportation was in the community. And it was relatively even in terms of looking at safety for vehicles, safety for pedestrians, safety for bicyclists, and having improved rail service. They all scored about the same. And
Okay.
beyond that, everything just sort of dropped off the list. Transportation wasn't a major concern, as reflected in the results of the survey. I also looked at the progress that had been made since the adoption of the 2006 master plan, and I did take away those elements that had already been completed, so we didn't have duplication of effort. And I also looked at the journey to work, crash data, traffic volume data, to get a sense of where the activity centers were in the community. So this chart that you have in front of you, the big Concord chart here, is a chart that takes the information, the same basic goals and strategies that were contained in the December submittal, and added a couple of columns that were requested by Ron in terms of showing the responsibility for implementing the recommendation and the priority that was given. I decided to use just high priority or medium priority. I didn't want to get bogged down in trying to assign numbers. It would just get crazy. And again, obviously these are the priorities that I've assigned based on what I've heard and what I believe the data has told me, but if you can look at this information now and convince me otherwise, I'll be
No,
more
that's
than happy
great.
to listen to you.
No, those are the concerns. The only other thing I don't know if we do this in the others. Do we indicate in any of the other charts, what the cost might be or time frame?
I think we do time frame.
Not cost, the high, low, medium, stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right,
The biggie.
okay.
So you want, I will add a,
I don't know what, we should probably decide what it is. Is cost make sense?
Well, it does, it's The
Since
one
that's a
that
big deal
Maria-
for this town,
It is.
you know,
It was primary responsibility, priority, timeframe, and funding needs, potential resources,
Okay,
so.
so-
it's-
so something like that, cost potential. All right,
Now, in the first goal, Ron had a number of comments. He sort of prioritized the strategies a little bit, changed the numbering that I had, which I took to mean that you had a different.
this Ron?
Oh, you.
John Ron. I talk about so many things, I'm like.
Why he's looking at me.
Yeah,
Like,
just, you know what, you know, Ron, I just,
I just assumed it was wrong.
I almost made it. But you had reordered the first.
yeah, and then I talked to Martha, and Martha said, everybody in the subcommittee had their own opinion about what was the most important, and I said, well, fine, just, we'll go through them and we can always reorder them again.
All right, and it was interesting, when looking at your comments, as to where you put the Route 1 improvements versus the more local intersection improvements. You sort of flipped them and put the local intersections higher up on the list than I had for Route 1 at Boston Road. But, again, everybody has their own opinion.
Right.
So, looking at the new list, monitoring of traffic volumes at Route 1 and Boston Road to see if, and Route 1 and Elm Street to see if they meet traffic signal warrants is, I think, a high priority given the traffic volumes on Route 1 and the speed of traffic on Route 1. That's
Where do you wanna put a traffic light?
Elm Street, Route 1 and Elm Street, that's been talked about for many years. In fact, we
Yeah.
did a study 6 years ago, and we took,
Just going into Governor's.
there is enough traffic there to warrant
There's a blinker
installation.
right there now.
Yeah.
It's a blinker red, blinker yellow.
I mean, I go through there all the time, it isn't that bad. I go through them rush.
Depends upon what time of day.
It depends on what time of day, you
Yeah.
know, the sun's in your eyes,
But see,
and it's awful.
See, I got a comment here, and that is, the most important concern here is the turning movements. You don't use the word turning movements. That's the most important, concern here.
What are you referencing there?
Number one.
No, turning movement coming out of Elm, cause
No,
it's really a
coming off of
T-intersection.
Route 1 to go into, the left-hand turn.
And whether or not they need
And
a
the
channel,
left-hand
does that
turn.
need a channelization or
And
something?
the left-hand turn coming out of Elm and going onto Route 1 northbound.
But that, when MassDOT looks at whether they want to signalize an intersection or not, they'll focus in on traffic volumes, overall volumes, and to see whether they meet specific guidelines.
Well, that's stupid.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
It's their road.
Yeah, I understand that, but I've done enough traffic studies as a city planner to know that turning movements are a crucial part of it.
Yes, they are, and turning movements factor in, because MassDOT will, when they look at an intersection and try and figure out whether a signal should be installed or not, will often discount right turns. And
Yeah.
So here's the important thing. What you're suggesting here is that we ought to monitor this, and you're saying that it's the town working with Mass DOT to do what, a count?
Yes.
Okay. Wrong.
My brother-in-law is the person who does DOT for this area for speed, lights,
Oh,
the speed limit signs on the side of the road, they all have to go through him, or supposed to. If you put up your own speed limit sign,
yeah,
tickets don't stick. The DOT has to put them up. But anyways, I can ask him what it would take to do a study for a light, or you're talking two left turns.
Yeah.
One out, one in, right?
Yeah,
And have
that's-
separate lanes so people can pass them, am I correct?
If they do a count, then they gotta do a manual count. You have
Right.
to, you
Yeah,
have
they
to.
put the rubber thing across.
No, that's,
No.
those don't work. That's crap. You have to do a manual count.
You gotta do
It's the only thing that really works.
you probably need to do both, but,
Give me a
but the
list,
point
and I'll
is,
give it to him.
the point is, and it's for Boston Road,
Right.
and then also for the Governor's.
Yeah, I think one and two are one subject myself.
just same road, two counts.
If
So,
you-
and we should work together with DOT to do it.
If you want, I can bring him to the meeting.
And I would say that that is the highest priority in the town, cause it's our major road, and major
And it's
speed,
two nasty places, yeah.
yeah.
Because I know that he doesn't get included in a lot of town things,
Oh, yeah,
and he is the man. In other words, he's the one that has to recommend.
so he's the region, what does that mean? So he has a
He has,
Northeast.
Is he,
northeast,
he's
Is
northeast,
is
he
he
goes
District
all the way.
4?
What?
Is he District 4?
No, he's the whole, from Boston to the
Little-
border,
To
the
the line.
line.
Okay.
oh, wow.
He does the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's all he does is speed limits, you know, and he's based out of Haverhill. Yeah, that's where it's.
That's where he is. Give him a call.
Yeah, yeah.
But it sounds like this stays in the master plan as we anticipate, we know the path forward once the master plan is finalized, and maybe even do some stuff ahead of time, but.
Yeah, people to start, what we did with the last master plan is that we always, you know, around, I don't know, 2008, I mean, people started looking at it and saying, oh, we should start on this, somebody should do that, somebody should do this, and we started to cherry pick and pick out the recommendations that were in it, and I think we wound up doing maybe 30 to 35% of the recommendations, which is
Not bad.
not too bad,
Did Hanover Street get its light because of us,
I don't
or
know,
was that before?
I don't know.
That, I think, got
At the
put
same
in,
time.
it was, wasn't it when the Parker River was,
Route 1A
the bridge was closed,
Bridge went out.
Oh, you're right, yes, right.
and so that was the bypass,
Right.
and then they kept it,
Okay,
fortunately.
Now, the subcommittee mentioned that there might be a need for a left turn lane from Route 1 southbound onto Hanover Street because of perceived issues with
right.
cars coming over top of, coming over the
Yeah,
bridge,
yeah,
going
it's-
side by side, and then basically funneling in and playing chicken with each other as they try and get down to
So
the
that's
light.
a third study.
Right, and
Yes.
the light is there, but there's
Yeah, well,
one traffic lane.
They
and
all,
people go into
they all zoom
shoulder.
down the breakdown lane now, that's
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
you're exactly right.
Instead of doing three, why don't we say, study all three intersections for left-hand lanes?
Sounds good to me.
But you're
No,
looking
some
for
are-
signalization
Some are,
where.
Yeah, but you
some need signalization, others need
No,
just
but-
an arrow.
No, but for the
Well,
left
that's to
lane,
be determined.
Right,
but the left lanes, that we need left
you
lane
know what I'm
turns.
gonna do, I'm gonna turn, you're the transportation expert. What
What do you
language do you wanna use and put it in there? Whatever's gonna get DOT's attention is what you're gonna have to say.
I would combine 1.1 and 1.2 and keep 1.3 separate, because it's.
Because it has a signal.
Right, because it has a signal.
Okay.
Okay.
And does it stay medium or is that a high? Somebody had it as a medium, I'm just curious, could that be as a high too? I don't,
It could be a high, and I think,
I mean,
one of the
everything here is,
responses to
I've-
the survey, or it might have even been a discussion that we had at the transportation subcommittee, somebody said, that's not so bad. So it wasn't like, people were all.
on the other hand, we
agreement.
can't have everything high,
Exactly.
so.
No,
keep
but
it
the
medium.
first two are life and death things.
Yeah,
I think they are.
they're higher.
Okay,
All
then
right.
1.4?
Four, make improvements to Elm Street and School Street, and that is an intersection that was called out by the traffic volume, or the crash data, and also just by the feedback I gotten from the committee, everybody just
Right.
said, oh.
Well, I think that's a terrible intersection,
Yeah, and I can add
You know-
feedback to that now too, so.
right? You go, well, that's where George goes in and out of there all the time, so.
You did?
Yeah,
I
it's
saw the
just
aftermath of an
bad
accident.
geometry there.
It's terrible
bad
geometry.
facility.
Yeah,
It's-
people don't know what to do.
Yes.
And you wind up going, you go, no, I'll go, you go, I'll go.
Unless you're a bicyclist, and I came down there today, saw the bicyclists go right through the stop
Oh, of
sign.
course, well, they own the road.
Yeah.
But there were two of them on the way down, so.
Okay,
We'll come back to that.
Then I have realign the Route 1A Newbury Neck Road lanes and intersection. That is one that I think just by the geometry of it calls for an improvement to be made. When you look at the crash data, it's like,
this is your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's my neck of the woods, and any change there will require a taking,
yes.
will require a property taking, any change
Is
there.
would it require where all the politicians put their signs, was that the
That
area that
is
you're talking about?
Fernald's property,
Mhm.
Whose is it?
Fernald's, Fernald's property. That goes right out to the point. Everybody takes that gravel shortcut thing there, that is not part of the road. So it would require a taking, so that's something that I'm sure the town doesn't wanna do.
No, they don't.
You know, what
How much of a
amazes-
taking is it though, do you know?
Well, not a lot.
It's a sliver, 10 feet
Oh,
wide?
well,
No.
probably
What do you
20,
think?
30 feet, but,
Maybe more than that.
It would be.
yeah.
Well, it's worth looking at.
Oh, yeah,
And
oh, yeah.
deciding,
but-
should we do it or should we not do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to align it correctly, yeah, it should be
Sure.
done.
And it's a medium, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Next one is, cut the berm, remove the vegetation, and consider other measures to improve sight distance and safety at Highfield Road, Middle Road intersection. That one came up from the transportation committee.
It's a terrible.
It's a terrible intersection, but boy, even doing that, it's not gonna help it much.
What has helped is
Right,
that
what-
the
I don't
mirror
know
that
what
was
you can
put-
do.
put
I
there,
know.
Just put a mirror up.
that mirror is
Yeah, they put a mirror
fantastic.
up.
The mirror works.
Oh,
If
really?
that can be there all the time, because line of
It's
sight is
coming
so
out,
good.
coming out of Highfield Road now, it's there.
So as long as it
And
stays
coming
there.
down the other way, you should see.
And that is Plum Islanders' main route to 95.
So, did James do that? Do we know?
I'm not sure who initiated that, but I just noticed it yesterday.
Yeah, I just saw it
That's been
like
there a
last
while.
week. Yeah, is it? I just saw it last week.
A couple months maybe,
Oh.
at least a month, yeah.
I try not to go down that road,
Mhm.
especially with the corner in it.
But
So the
a lot of
recommendation
traffic.
though is cut the berm. The berm is on not this side, on the eastern side, am I right? Is that what the berm is, or is it on the,
But is that trying to keep the flooding out?
I don't know.
I think they addressed that.
Because
But it still floods.
They recently did some things 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The flooding has been much.
Well,
much
removing
better.
Right.
vegetation, do we know who owns the land? No, we don't know.
No.
We don't know who owns the land.
Well, that's easy to find out.
Right.
How much of it is in the right of way though? I mean, even if the right of way, and James has been doing a great job of
Cutting
starting to
back.
cut that stuff back, but
I'm not sure if he's done that yet. He's done a lot of the other stuff though.
Maybe there's a power line there, the power company will take everything in sight, so
There is,
they already have.
there is.
So when we, by the way, when we say town, do we wanna make this DPW's responsibility? Or not? Or is that too specific?
we might.
I left it general, just so I could figure out.
Well, I know, I'm just thinking about it.
I think we do wanna fine tune it, but it may, in some cases, it may be the selectmen have to make a decision, and some it might be town administrators.
So you just wanna keep it town for the time being, and
No, I
later on
think
We can work,
refine it as we,
we'll just refine it. With those who, I mean, we have a limited number of people as resources, and James happens to be a very good one, and, a lot of these, I think, are gonna come under his purview.
And transportation, yeah.
Okay, better define 1.7?
okay, now, I'll just go back up to 1.6. I mean, we have the mirror up here and it's functioning very well. Does that argue for just taking a look at, keeping an eye on the crash data to see if there is?
No, I think we wanna
noticeable
look at
reduction?
whether or not, in fact, it still has to be cut back, and whether or not the berm should be reduced.
All right.
It still is it still makes you feel very ill at ease when you're at that intersection, no matter what.
Well, that's a
There
good
to help
thing.
you. Well,
That's a good thing. You say edgy, what'd you say?
very
Kind
good.
of just hold
my breath and go.
I creep.
1.7, better define roadway and parking in the intersection of Central Street and Main Street, Byfield Post Office. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, my
Since
wife just
2009,
complained about that the
because-
other day. We
You say
came out of
So,
the
so what do we think is doable here? Now, could you elaborate, I mean, about 4 or 5 years ago, did you do the study for us that was, so what happened with that? I mean,
Well,
it hasn't gone anywhere, so I'm just curious.
Well, there were recommendations that were made to try and offer better definition of the corner, maybe even having a planter or curbing, and nobody wanted to hear that. It was.
Whose property is it on the corner?
to the
It's-
owner of the post office, it's,
Where does it go to?
His name is Robert,
Robert,
Well-
he lives in Caldwell.
right, I'm just blanking.
That's
out.
neat.
But is it a
That's neither
square
here nor
corner
there.
or round corner?
I don't know.
It actually is a square corner, goes out into,
But that's unusual
Oh,
for,
really?
for an intersection of two streets like that to be a
Yes.
square. I mean, on Plum Island, we have plenty of square corners,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
well, especially one like that with so
Yeah.
much.
right,
volume.
because when I see people park on that corner, I'm like, that shouldn't be, it should be round and then people should park to the
right.
side.
But I think if you actually look at the lot lines of the property, it goes out into what we consider to be the street.
Mm.
So it's, I don't remember exactly the configuration, but it was a lot farther out than I think we thought it was.
Mhm. And I think there might have even been some impact on the right-of-way, the utility right-of-way.
That's right,
Because that
right.
balloons out right there
But
too.
what has made
On
this,
the other side.
what has made this a significant problem is you can't use Lunch Street anymore two ways. So
Right.
you've gotta go through here.
Right, so you get a lot of traffic
Yeah,
cutting
yeah,
around at
a
that
lot
spot.
more than it used to be.
It's very confusing when you come around there and like on a Saturday when everybody's parked to go to the post office in the morning, you can't see anything.
No,
And the people are backing out
Right.
quickly.
And you take your life in your hands.
Right.
And actually, the safest place is to park on the furthest corner.
Yep.
Because that way you have clear line of sight and you can turn, otherwise you're backing out everywhere,
But that's the people that scare the people coming down the street.
without a doubt. But when you're,
Yeah.
when you're landing to get in there and to figure out your strategy out, that's the safest way. And it shouldn't be that way, right?
Yeah.
So we have, we're in economic development that we wanted to assign, I don't know, maybe the selectmen to assign to do studies of the three villages for streetscape and sidewalk improvements and things, don't we have that in there?
Well, that's, I mean, that kind of comes back to the complete streets stuff as well.
But I'm just saying, so that
Right, to define,
this becomes an element of, are we gonna look at everything from Byfield Center to Upper Green to Plum Island Center, which I understand, I don't know where that is right now, but last time we met, we found out something was going on. And I think that
Communication's good.
communication was good. And I think that, you know, that's where we should go back to the selectmen and say, here, we think that we should do these things.
right, and we,
You don't think so, fine, well, then tell us why.
right, and we did have the design, I mean, we had the whole design for the Byfield Village. And
My guess is it's still valid.
And I think, and it's been done piecemeal, like the intersections have been realigned,
By Middle and Church and, yeah.
right,
But it is a mess,
Yeah, but this one would take a taking to really straighten it out.
probably,
yeah.
probably.
The hated word taking.
Well,
Well,
you
you know
know,
what you
there
do-
is there's been some investment in Byfield Village, I mean, you know, and it's significant. You know, the four condos and the single-family house, and, you know, there's maybe some people, maybe it's different now than it was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe you get some leadership down there to do something.
Talking $3 or $4 million.
Yeah,
So should we call,
couple of years.
specifically identify the improvements that were recommended and put that in here as a
yeah,
recommendation?
why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Well, if they,
Alright.
yeah, if they seem valid, and we
Yeah.
still have the parking study, which is pending, I guess. I think we need to get back to you on that, I think we owe you something
Parking study for Byfield,
for Byfield.
okay, yeah, let's do that. Implement.
I mean, that's just something that's gotta be looked at. But, I mean, it's a serious amount of money.
Well, you know, there are sources, you know, if we get a plan together, you know, and MVPC helps out, I mean, you can get a little bit of change here and there from
We tried-
Commonwealth and stuff like that.
We tried to get a
State's
Massworks grant for it, but it wasn't.
Today, you're right, today they're broke, but this is, let's face it, we would be doing this for 3 years or something like that, it'd take a while to get, you gotta get the community behind you.
You mean you have to tell them what you're doing first,
Believe
instead
it
of
or not.
just doing it?
God, I wish the good old days were back.
All right.
Yeah,
Strategy 1.8 was the implementation of improvements at Plum Island Boulevard, Old Point, and Sunset Drive. I know that they put in a little traffic island stop sign outside
Yeah.
the Plum Island Grill, and it got obliterated. It's
Well, it's in the wrong place. They put it on the side instead of the middle. If you put them in the middle, like any other intersection where the stop sign's in the middle of an island, it gets the traffic that comes this way to stay on that side of the thing. They put it on the side over here with the stop sign, and the cars back into it, and the cars coming this way think that's the island and they head for it. I mean, it was just,
So where was this? Was this right in front of Plum Island Grill?
yeah, it was just ill done.
It's on the Plum Island Grill side of.
That's what I meant,
Sunset
that's
Drive.
what I meant,
But when
yeah.
you put one in, if you go in any place and you see one on an intersection,
Yeah,
it's in the center and it's to keep the
Right.
traffic coming, in other words, the traffic's, here it is, coming down. If this thing's over here, they're heading for that lane.
so who implemented that? Did you guys or did we do it?
No.
We did, so was that under the old regime?
But we
No.
Well, it
recommended,
came, I mean, it came.
it came from the study.
Right, it came from the.
Came from the
study.
study, but who did the work?
I think the town did, the town.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
was it done before James?
No, James did it.
James did it.
And it's a real mistake. I mean, it's incredible.
Right. Well, I think we had some discussion amongst ourselves about the need to survey, like where is the boundary line on the street, and that would influence where you could put it. And I vaguely recall, there was some discussion about putting it in the middle, there was some reservation on the part of the police department or some.
There was some concern that I don't remember.
So if
what it
James
was
is a
now.
responsible guy and he's a very responsive person, do we just set up a meeting with Martha and one of you guys and talk it through and see if we can get it
I
done?
think what this came from was John Lucy, because he was down there setting it, okay? And really, this is one of those things that you look at, and you call a DOT person, which they're very easy to get, and you say, how would you do this? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, like I said, you just go over to Parker Street and see what the end of Parker Street, they got the stop sign in the middle of
Right.
the night.
So what happened to it? Is it there anymore? Is it
Oh, it's
literally-
there, it just gets knocked down all the time.
Gets
Oh, okay.
repaired time after time, but again, I think part of the fundamental recommendation from Tony's group was to do some surveying, so you know where the
What-
lines are, and then you decide where to put it.
So is this a concrete thing that's put in the ground or is it?
Oh,
any-
it's a cement little
It's a
thing
cement
with the
thing.
edges on it, and
And you can
it
move
was
it?
like a spike
You
fence.
can't move it.
No,
No, it's like curbing around it, you find the area which you then plunk.
it was like a spike fence
All right,
against
but
the
it's
spend
Plum
too
Island
much
Grill.
time.
Yeah, well,
Can
maybe
you
it's,
check
maybe
with,
it's,
check with James and see
yeah,
if he has.
maybe it's time to revisit it.
Yeah.
After it's.
It's
been done,
caused
see what
nothing
the
but
issues
trouble.
are.
So why don't we just say something to the effect of revisit,
Yeah.
placement of, what's it called?
It'd be at Center Island,
Center Island.
which
that-
isn't the Center Island, it's a side island.
Well, it's the Boulevard and Sunset Drive.
Okay,
Traffic island.
Traffic island, it should be.
thank you.
Making it bigger will help too, but we can get there.
Yeah,
I had one other question, which may be a 1.9, if you're done with 1.8, Tony.
Well, the problem with that corner too is, we've had a lot of accidents,
Yeah.
okay? And it's got worse now that they put it on the side, like I said. So, and the people end up in the marsh. I know I told them out.
Really?
Yeah.
Coming which direction?
Well, what happens is they go this way and they cut in front of people coming out and they end up in the marsh
Yeah.
because they scoot across. So it really, it needed a little study, not just a,
Okay.
And memo the file, they're trying to take a right-hand turn off the Sunset to go head towards the center. The way it's set up, you have to wait, what could be a rather long line of cars trying to take a left, and the traffic really backs up, which causes frustration, which causes accidents and other things, I suspect.
yeah.
So you really need two lanes, one for right turn.
Yeah.
The,
What is it, 1.9?
that, I vaguely recall some discussion when the chief was here, I think Chief Riley was, we were talking about the intersection of Parker and, well, the Enterprise rental car place, and
Mm.
Well,
they
that's
lined up
Newburyport.
their cars.
Yeah, that was.
It's Newburyport.
It was okay.
Getting it.
Right,
The
that's-
sight
I
lines
remember
are
that.
terrible.
That's where the guy was
That
killed.
yeah,
That was the pushback, was all, that's Newburyport.
that's
Right.
Texas.
That,
But I guess the question is, would it still be appropriate for us to try to coordinate, because everybody goes through
yeah,
it at
it's
some point or
huge,
other.
it's hugely important to the town of Newbury, obviously, to get
Yeah.
to the train station, get out the
Right,
Scotland Road,
right,
so.
so,
How would you phrase it? Because it's not our responsibility,
No.
huh?
Work with the city of Newbury.
Work with City of Newburyport?
Right.
Another one like
All
that
right,
is just,
I don't like it, I don't like it.
You don't
I've
like it?
always tried to keep my nose out of the reports business.
Oh, it's
And I
because you,
love to comment on a
That's
lot of
because-
stupid stuff that goes on in the report, but I
it
keep
goes,
my
it goes
nose
back
out.
to when they, you know, seceded from us in 1764, and he's still mad at them.
I think Fred's point's valid, however, in that,
Forget it?
it's the camel's nose under the tent if we start doing this.
Yeah.
It's like Bummer's Rock, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one though, because it's so dangerous, and so many people use it.
But I mean, if we put it in our plan, they may say, fine, pay for it.
That's exactly what they say.
So, let's not put it in.
Yeah, it's great while it lasted.
All right, okay with everybody okay with one?
Yep.
Let's go to two, maintain quality of Newbury's transportation infrastructure.
Martha gave me some additional information on the first two items. They are 2.1, 2.2. I saw that work on the Main Street Bridge over the Parker River is going to begin this summer. So,
Think so, summer.
That's how, the drawings are,
Yeah, just a few weeks, yeah.
yeah.
Yep, delete it, I say.
What I couldn't believe was that it was only $274,000.
yeah, that's
What I
surprising.
couldn't believe is why they just don't put in a double culvert.
How the hell did they get it done for $274,000?
I would have thought they would have had to blow out the.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a repair, not a replacement.
it's-
Even so,
That's a concern of mine.
if you look at what's wrong with that bridge, you go, wait a minute.
That is-
Yeah.
You're right, big double culvert. I built a lot of bridges.
Now, since they haven't started, and since this is still a draft, would it be wise just to keep it in there, knowing we should delete it
Just in
later,
case.
in case something comes up?
Well, let's rephrase it, monitor
But the real issue.
the construction of the,
Yeah, there you go,
you know,
yeah,
Okay.
of the Main Street Bridge.
yeah, I like that.
That made everybody quiet.
Everybody's writing.
I'm waiting for him to discuss the Locken Road thing.
Oh, geez.
that's been through conservation already, I think it's pretty much.
But
It appeared
whose property is that culvert?
It's Georgetown.
I think it's
Or
both.
not.
It's
I think it
both.
sits right on the line.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
well, the
line
lines
goes
from,
right
the
through it.
road's in the middle of the road's the line.
Yeah.
The portion of the project is in Newbury, and it's been through Newbury Conservation.
So do you know, has it been through Georgetown Conservation as well?
I would assume so, because most of it's in Georgetown.
But my understanding is that the developer for the subdivision in Georgetown is actually going to do the repair, we're gonna pave it,
We're just paving.
we're just paving.
What's the schedule of that?
I'm not sure.
The fall?
James said.
Is that
hopefully-
road paved now?
I think is it
No.
paved now? No.
That's dirt.
I haven't been down there in a while.
There, a number of
Big.
dirt roads have been paved, that like Plummer's
Yeah,
Lane
that's
is
true,
paved.
yeah, I know that, but I don't know if that one has.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, I haven't been down in
There's no
a
house.
few months, but,
Oh, no, there is a house there.
Sure there are.
There is a house there, you're not right.
who's gonna do the paving, the contractor or the town?
The town, that was the
Okay.
deal, they would fix the culvert, we would pave it.
Alright, so it's gonna be done, so it won't be a heaving road. It'll be done correctly.
I think so.
Well, it's a big deal, you know.
It is.
So is this something else we'll be monitoring, if we think it's,
Well, right now, we don't really have a start date, do we?
Well, fall, I think is what the target date is. If-
So monitor.
What James said was that they're still trying to, I guess the developer is still trying to finalize agreements with Georgetown,
And it would be a replacement.
yes.
So maybe if these
That's why
become
it's-
monitors, maybe you push them down to the end of it, instead of 1 and 2.
Do they
Just
go-
reorder them, because they're just monitoring, they're not.
Do they move from highs to mediums?
Oh, that's,
I'd like to see the Main Street really high, because I think there could be some issues there.
Yeah, that has to stay on it.
it stays high only because you're gonna
Was
be
there
doing
any,
it,
issues with the
right, because it's gonna be under
water
construction.
supply, you know, in that, for that culvert on Market? You know, water supply protection area, how did that, anything ever surface in that department?
For the culvert, I haven't
Well, I
heard
mean,
anything. I know
it's-
we had to,
It's water,
That whole development is in,
what does that mean?
it's in a wellhead protection area, I think.
But what does that mean?
Well, that this means that the water department might,
Actually, if it's in the Newbury section, the selectmen actually have to issue a special permit for any change in impervious surface in the,
I mean, I don't
Water
know, that may
supply
not be as
district.
certain as it seems.
yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but I'll make a note.
I mean, is that like putting tar down and you don't get water to go through the ground? Is that what you're talking about?
It's another regulated area, that's all.
Right.
But is it regulated for ground penetration of water?
It's just whatever, you know, there's activities there that may, the water department may have something to say about it. You know, or, I just can't remember when it went through conservation.
I mean, if it's wellheads, it's gravel and where the water level
I
is.
mean, it's a Larkin Road well, it's just up the street. But never mind.
So if it's a gravel road before, now it's going to be paved, you're gonna have runoff issues that.
Instead of penetrating water.
Right,
Am I correct?
Some.
right.
But you know what?
The roads are-
I don't, who's the responsible party? DPW?
I just, it was just something that popped in my head, I don't think it's
Well,
really.
let's knock it out of there.
But it might cause some further delays.
Oh, you mean a delay in the process?
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, I'll look over that.
Oh, not too far.
Do you have an extra one for
Curious.
Marshall? There you go. We just finished we're doing transportation first. And we just finished 1 through 9 and started on 2.
1 through 8.
1 through, oh, well, it was 9 and then we
Briefly,
dropped 9.
back. 2.3 is continued support, maintenance, and implementation of the town's pavement management program. Sort of coupled with that, 2.4 is expand the pavement management program to be more of a facilities management program that would include the sidewalks on the town and roadways. So I thought that those are two.
I don't know how you handle this in your verbiage and your analysis, but anything you do that can give a shout out to DPW and the job they've done would be well worthwhile, because since June 2015, I think the data is they've done 40% of the town.
Wow.
And whereas, you know, for the last 30 years, they did 0, as far as we can tell, right?
Just drive the surrounding towns and compare them
I
without,
know, you know, as soon
drive
as you go
Newburyport
over
and
the,
compare them.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
I
know.
mean,
As soon as you
it's
go
an
over the
extra,
line, you know.
so it's a nice thing to let him
Well,
feel
it's a
good. He's done
It's the
something.
policy is
Even if
changed,
they do
instead of
report.
buying equipment, we're doing time.
Yeah.
Before we were
Right.
buying equipment with the money. I'm just telling
I
you
know.
the differences.
Yeah,
One is maintaining your roads, and the other was buying equipment so you might be able to maintain your town.
Right.
Which
I know.
do you do?
I know.
And they did the other one.
It was really hard on capital planning. We looked at it and said, you know, there are things break down we have to do. And so you have to make those choices. And so chapter 90 was the pot that we pulled out of.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but I'm just saying that the reason we're doing it is because they just changed the way they were doing it and taking chapter 90 money and putting it in the roads versus taking the other money from the state and buying equipment with our money. Am I correct?
Well, we also got the
You're correct,
override,
and there's another
we got the
piece.
override
Right.
as well.
Right.
for
Get an
roads.
override.
That was the big thing.
And then, but it's a politically astute thing to do.
It's nice to have nice roads.
That's right.
I drive the roads every day. It's terrible, the highways.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, but dramatically different than everybody else.
So anyway, that's all my comment on 2 and 3 and 2, 4.
Review the subdivision regulations to ensure that they comply with the town's policies, meeting the new NIPD's MS4 stormwater
They're good about
regulations.
that.
That's gotta be high.
You know, I think they do, but
They
we
do.
reference our stormwater bylaw in it, and there's some changes that need to be made to that probably, so, I mean, it's timely since the new permit is becoming effective
And we-
July 1st.
When did we finalize, what's the date of when we did the subdivision?
That was
regs?
May.
May
Yeah,
of last year.
last year.
So we redid them a year ago, and, but the NPDES MS4 stuff was then appendage to it.
Well, our stormwater bylaw, which was originally done based on the previous permit, is now incorporated by reference.
Incorporated by reference.
But the new permit has.
So I think we're okay.
Okay.
But I think,
Okay.
it probably would be good to look at it. and
Well,
look
keep
at
it
the
in,
permit.
that's fine.
A placeholder comment, which may come up later, I think we met last, there was some discussion about how some of the subdivision approvals is open space, which is a trade-off to have more dense housing.
Mm.
And I think, John, you said that depending how you phrase those permission slips, the open space can be open to all residents and not just the people in the subdivision. So
Well,
maybe we can come back to it, that's one of the placeholders.
It's also a function of the size of the subdivision. So we did Ralph's Lane, where Mark DePiero was doing the 8 houses, and we really left it 1 acre.
Yeah,
It is open to the public, but we don't make a big deal about it.
right.
Whereas continue to have this issue with the Caldwell Trail stuff, which is a big amount of open space, and trying to make sure that stays open to the public, so.
Once I-
So,
placeholder
8
comment.
units versus 67 units, and it means a lot to what we get in terms of public access.
Agreed.
Construction, emergency bypass?
Yes, and you had a question about this.
I didn't understand what it was, but Martha did explain it to me.
16th Street. or-
16th Street, I guess, is that right?
Well, they're looking at 12, 14, and 16, and you have to take 2 on, off.
Mhm.
There's only 10-foot right-of-ways. And these are only to be used for emergency.
So-
And so, but,
Defined by whom?
So what kind of emergency? Is this a flooding emergency?
yeah, if you shut down the center. All right, in between time, they are open to walking. The right-of-ways are open to walking, which brings your people on your
Do
Old
you have a
Point,
map, is that what you got there? I see it.
which brings your people on Old Point Road to Plum Island Beach and
So where is
saves
it,
parking.
Up here?
This
Down
is
here?
16th.
And so it goes from,
14th,
like, from
12th.
here over to here?
Yeah, the roads
somehow?
go right through, but they're not going through right now.
They don't go through now.
They
Nothing-
don't go through right now, okay? And we've got money in the state budget, $140,000 to do this.
And is there right of way?
Yeah,
You're
the
not going
right
through,
of ways.
you're not going through somebody's house?
Well, it's town-owned parcels, a lot of them.
Oh, really?
Well, they're right of ways.
Yeah.
16th used to go through, I
It did.
remember.
Did
It
it?
ran right through my house.
Really?
12th Street went through as well.
It's not like they didn't happen before, they were there before. But the whole thing is, on a plan of Plum Island and parking for cars, all these people drive over here to park. If you have, like, we've opened up 16th in
Mhm.
Hutchins
Mm-hmm.
to walking only,
Mm-hmm.
so people around here come that way, okay? So if you open these up with hard surfaces, you're gonna get the babies and the strollers. I'm not talking about cars. The only time the cars go through is when the center blows out, okay? But they're there
So you can how do you manage that?
with a gate.
Okay, so you have the gate there, so the babies can go in with the strollers.
You have a small area where you
Got
can
it,
walk,
okay, good, okay.
but you have a gate
Right.
that you can open up, that the
Right.
police can open up as emergency, okay? So, because you have a lot of housing and people here. When this goes down, which it has many times, it's very hard to get around here.
I know.
But where does it flood?
Right here.
This
Right at the center. Okay?
Oh, yeah, that's Plum Island Center.
Right
Yeah,
now,
so
there's a
that-
big beach there, but tomorrow, who knows?
You're right. So I've been working on this for about, since '06 or '05. And, these map shows, right of ways open, right of ways
So this
closed.
language, let me see. Do you want to see
I
this?
get a question.
I do have a question. When it says pursue construction of emergency bypass, does that reference the 100 and some odd thousand that you're talking about?
Yes,
And is that all that's needed?
according to everybody.
So we should be a little more specific, I think, Tony,
Okay.
where is it, what's the source of that? State of, state,
Bond bill?
It's in a
DPW?
bond bill.
No, it's just, if you could work it out among the two of you and
It's in the bond bill.
So we're very specific in here, so
Right.
that people in the future, yeah, it's that money that we need to know to go ahead.
And Lenny is working on it right now.
Okay,
I just switched it from, what's her name?
Ives,
The,
O'Connor Ives.
O'Connor.
no, from, who was our state rep before?
Oh, Harriet Stanley.
Harriet Stanley was working on it now. Lenny's working on it.
Okay,
And it's in the bill this year again. I always make sure it's in the bill and, you know, that money's there. Cause that's, you don't realize how important it is until you need it.
Mhm.
does Bruce bring this up at various meetings?
Yeah, we go
Yeah,
over all these
yeah,
things.
yeah.
We go over these things all
I
the
just
time.
never understood where they were.
You're right. See, when you go to the southern end, they have more than one
Oh, yeah,
right-of-way
you do.
that goes through.
Right.
Yeah, you got one.
We
two,
don't have any,
Yeah.
okay? And we have more people that
Right.
traffic that
Right.
area. And the reason for opening it up too is, if the fire engine's gotta come and you're trying to get the cars off,
Yeah.
you can run the cars
So,
off
so
on
if you
one.
get the money, who does the work?
Well, you bid it out.
DPW? I mean, does our DPW
Our
does this work?
DPW could, I mean, Dougie's worked at,
Dougie meaning
Packard.
Doug Packard, yeah.
has worked with Vine, and they've done, a
Gordy,
thing.
Gordy,
No,
or
No.
Vine?
Dave Vine.
David Vine.
And David Vine and I just talked about it with Doug the other day, that they've got this just about done to go to DEP.
Oh, okay.
They've already done a lot of this work.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my next question, is where was it with DEP, so it's.
And
it's-
we've talked with DEP, and DEP said, you know, this and that, and then we talked with Bruce, and Bruce says, you know, this is, when we get the money, we use the legislation part to push it through.
You should note, it's gonna require a notice of intent to the Concom, and there is a lot of local resistance to this going through, the butters, of which I would be one, I hasten to add. And one of the underlying concerns will be that this opening up is going to be used by more than walkers once it's open. That's gonna create traffic and be a detriment to the neighborhood. And after all, this is an area of critical environmental concern, and you get into putting in hard surface stuff. So what
So you take it public and you see
You
what
take
happens.
public, you just go with what.
And see what happens. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm all for, I understand exactly what you're saying, and if you're right, and there's huge amount of pushback, there's a huge amount of pushback.
But you also
I buy
got,
that.
you got all these people to push back too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
get 1,000 people to push back against 20, you know?
a huge
that's-
safety issue.
that's
That's huge.
Well, half of it is.
Beyond 51st.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know something, I know that you don't want anybody else on Plum Island.
No, that's not true, and I wish you could say.
But it's true. I mean, everything you do, you go against everything, you yell at people at the beach,
You're out of line, Ron.
but it's true.
Mr. Chairman, can you try and keep us not having personal attacks?
All right, I think I understand this and I appreciate it, and I think it stays in, pursue the construction, but I'd like to have it more specific about the funding sources, and then eventually find out who's responsible for building it, you know?
Right, and we might wanna reword it to make it clear, it does sound kind of like it's to get on the island, but it's really to get
Yeah,
off the
Around
island.
It's to get
not-
emergency vehicles on,
But
and
keep
cars
the
off.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
And when you have one of these emergencies at the center, it only lasts a few tides, okay?
So far.
Well, I mean, even if it tears out the whole center, they have to fix it to fix the sewer and water pipes, so you're gonna have to put something back at the center. You're gonna have to put material in there.
Okay, work with the MBTA in pursuing efforts, to widen the channel into the railroad
That word
bridge.
channel should be opening, because there's no channel there, but, what is the problem here?
Is that a flooding thing?
It's one of the restrictions for,
I don't know about Boston Road, I just assume the ditch just fills up when it's
This has
either
come from
really high
John
tide.
O'Brien.
Yeah, it-
John has always had this as a
it-
major
It's
issue,
never flooded the road to my knowledge.
but why?
It has.
It
You're
has.
talking about by the railroad bridge where it floods?
No, it floods halfway up Boston Road towards Green.
It's right, you know,
It has,
well,
okay.
you know where it.
Oh, yeah, I know where it
Yeah,
is.
and you know, when John was on the board, I mean, he'd always been talking about what a problem this was. I never really truly understood it, but he said, no, this is a real issue because of flooding. And I guess he said, you know, it occurs frequently.
well, it's one of the restrictions, I think.
Wow.
on the
It's
road.
a
So
small pass through.
Well,
it's one of
It's
those
not that
things,
small, I think you can get a kayak through it.
it's one of those things, I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think they're talking about the ditch comes down Boston Road, it goes underneath the railroad tracks and the little rivers.
Oh.
Yes.
And the thing that is not obvious to some is that
Now I know what you
when you
mean
get
by
a, when
flooding.
you get a real
okay.
flood tide,
I know what you
the
mean now.
water's going up Boston Road, it's higher than.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Did
a
it do that
diversion,
this
it
week?
comes down a diversionary ditch?
There's a ditch there, yeah.
No, it's just.
It's just a ditch.
It's just bad drainage.
Yeah,
you
okay.
know. There's-
It's low.
Okay,
That's what it is low there. Yeah.
So we need more clarification, geography.
Okay.
Exactly which culvert they wanna open up, you know, that's.
implement.
The little river goes down, it goes down the railroad tracks a ways, then it goes underneath the railroad track.
Yeah,
so
but
it
this
might
is the
be
one
that.
on Boston Road. I mean, it's
Yeah.
identified here as Boston.
Yeah, Boston Road, it's just Boston,
It's just-
like right at the railroad track.
Yeah.
Just before the dump. Implement short and long-term recommendations for transportation facilities identified
Right.
in the Great Marsh Coastal Community Resiliency Project Adaptation Plan.
Whatever that means, yeah.
Causeways, it's the one thing I took from the meeting that we were
Well-
attending in Salisbury. If that's a recommendation, which it seems like it's going to be, then is that something that the town's going to embrace, and if
Well,
so?
one of the problems, you know, we, about last year in the summer, we had the woman who is, Kristen, who is in charge of this for the Ipswich, whatever it is, or the Essex Study Group. And, John is on it, you're on it, who else is on it from town? Doug.
Deb.
And I think we're waiting for this phase to be concluded, which is the assessment
Well,
part,
it's the adaptation.
adaptation, but we don't have implementation plan yet, am I right?
That would be.
So those two are in the works, and we're waiting to see what they are. And so I can't prejudge it, but maybe you can tell us, Martha, what you think is gonna come out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, it's a little ways off still before we get it.
What is keeping, isn't this a full-time person working on this? Oh, no,
No, they've got different agencies who are
Okay.
involved, so,
all right. And is this part of the Sandy grant?
yeah, it's part of, I think it was,
Yeah, it's,
Sandy
it comes
funding.
from Sandy Grant money.
So,
Again, isn't this one we want to review, implement as appropriate?
yeah, I mean, it just, that when it comes in, you know, we marry it or we don't marry it.
Right, or we could
Yeah.
use, at this point, maybe say, consider implementation, since we don't really know
Right,
We don't
what they
record,
are
so
solving.
we can say that.
so it doesn't have to be perfect to take out the good pieces.
I'm sure that all ADA requirements, do we really have do we have a problem with that, ADA? You know, or is that just you throw that in?
It's just one of those, things that came up, I think I saw it in the survey, and certainly how could you be against it?
Yeah, it can't be. All right, just out of curiosity, it's 8:00. And I've tried to keep these to 2 hours, only because you have diminishing returns after 2 hours in my opinion, but, let's see what we can do about getting this section, and then maybe one of the others.
Okay. 3.1, town should consider developing and adopting a complete streets bylaw and program. I think this gets at, satisfying residents' desires to improve bicycle and pedestrian travel and safety. And it does so in a way that recognizes the nature of the community and doesn't do anything dumb to the road network, and then you're trying to cram in sidewalks where there isn't enough room to put in a sidewalk. It just recognizes the reality of the cost of making improvements to a roadway to fully accommodate bicycle and pedestrian travel. In some cases, it's just too expensive, the demand wouldn't be there. But it does give the town the ability to prioritize what improvements they want to make to sidewalks and roadways.
In this program, can we put anything for telling bicycles they have the same rules as cars?
That comes later.
Yeah, that comes in
There's
3.10.
Yeah, it is there.
I'm curious, is there any other communities that are?
Yes, Georgetown, I think, is just getting ready to endorse their complete streets bylaw. Lawrence has already done it, Haverhill's in the process of doing it. more and more communities are doing this, because it does offer you the opportunity to get some construction funding for.
For sidewalks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you do have more families on the roads, on bikes. I mean, you go by whole flotillas of
Yes.
little bikes in the
And
road,
the-
and you're kind of.
And they're talking to each other and go like this.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well, but
it's
it's
an
not just
issue.
the road bikers, it's more and more
And we,
families.
you know, 1A kind of works, it's, you know, wide enough in certain areas. Fred agrees that, you know, if we could redo that, it's been a bane of mine, is to do the sidewalk on Route 1A, that would make things
Yeah,
safer.
it's not in here,
Make
by the way.
things safer. I don't know if some
Well,
place in
it's
there.
sort of.
Suppose, sort of, but I think we need to spell out more. But I think the dilemma we have is the east-west connections, because those roads are so narrow. And I don't know how you get them wider.
I know, and that's
So-
one of the goals was to have the connectivity between the three towns.
And I don't know how you do
Yeah,
it.
and I don't know how you. can
Right,
extend
exactly.
it.
Yeah, how do you do it?
Your best opportunity is Scotland Road, high-speed road, that's no good.
And
That's
that's
where they
not-
wanna put the bike trail traffic, that's
But
off.
you have
They
more
might
room there, you have more room there.
Well,
More
actually,
room,
have a
but-
wide shoulder.
Yeah, no,
You know,
Like
so.
traffic.
Well,
That's
I'm
fine.
just curious, because a number of bicyclists here, where do you bike?
It depends. It really does.
What'd you say?
The time of day.
It depends.
You know, what day you're biking.
Yeah,
yeah, I do Scotland Road all the time.
you do.
I
It's,
do also.
it's a nice wide road, you're safe on that road, you can stay way off to the side.
So then how do you
Well, that's good.
get home from Scotland Road?
I take Highfield,
Oh, you do?
Middle, go through Dummer.
Oh, so if you're going the other way, where are you going, where do you wind up on
Then
Scotland?
if
You
I
just
take-
come back?
If I go Scotland the other way, I'll go all the way down into Byfield Center,
Main Street.
Main Street.
Main
Byfield
Street, to
Center,
pick up Main Street.
And then go over to Georgetown and back down.
But that,
Which
the
is why
road
we need
gets
to
skinny
pay.
in there.
Yeah, it does.
And it gets a little
why
dangerous in there.
instead of always sidewalks, like when we did Plum Island, I got them to widen the road for bicycle paths and runners and walkers. Can we just, instead of just sidewalks, can we look for widening the soft edge of the roads, which is where the bicycle or the runner has to go when two cars come?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And I think it's just a question of if you do the complete streets, they'll analyze that. Some rights of ways will be appropriate for that, and others will not be.
Because that's the biggest problem.
That, and maybe Scotland Road is a candidate for that, because it is a wide right of way. Route 1 is a little dangerous, it's too fast, 55 miles an
Yeah, it's
hour.
too fast. But on Scotland Road, if you could actually get some separation between a bike lane and a cars, that might help as well.
That's asking a lot.
I know it is.
Yeah.
I
know
mean,
it is.
you just plow it out in the winter time.
Complete,
Yeah.
It's wide enough, there's thousands of bikes that use that, you know, it's on a lot of bike routes. You just,
yeah.
and the road bikes who use it, they watch, you know, have mirrors, look out for cars.
Everybody's different for a bicycle.
Yeah.
When you're driving a car or truck and all of a sudden the two people are talking to each other and all of a sudden they just wave right in front of you.
No, they're texting,
No, they're talking to each other. I've seen them look at it.
texting all the time,
Oh, it's,
all the time.
but my whole thing is, let's get some more space. So if they have the place to dive to, you know, when the two cars are coming at each other, there's something's gonna give.
Yeah, there's such a thing as a break.
But I notice nobody gives in. You drive down through downtown Newburyport, and you get down by the Starbuck Galley, and you're coming in that, you know, the car on that side should stop and you should go, oh no.
Unfortunately, the bikers
You're
have
right.
right away.
Bikers don't have a
They
right
have
of
the
way.
right of way over vehicles, sure, because they're motorized. Cars are motorized, bicycles are not.
No, the rules are the same.
Right, but if someone's on a bike and a car is coming up and tries to pass the bike, and there's another car that's gonna cross a yellow line or cross the midline, they're not doing the right thing. They're supposed to yield to
Right,
the
you're
bike.
not supposed to cross that.
That,
line.
yes, I
You're exactly
understand.
right.
That's what I do all the time, but I watch people go like this and squeeze. Something's gonna give, and the bicyclist is gonna lose, because he doesn't have as much protection as the car does.
Okay,
Okay. The other thing that came up, I think in the 2006 plan, was the need for a bicycle plan, bed plan for the town. And the MVPC had developed an active transportation plan for the entire region that
So what is that? I don't think I've seen that.
The active transportation
Yeah.
plan. It's,
I mean, with the biking sub-element.
well,
Is it here in 3 point something? That's,
Big point too.
3.2,
Okay.
which
No,
is
no,
on
I
our-
see that.
No,
You're saying
he's-
continue to refine Merrimack Valley.
Right.
and, You know,
Take that as a basis for what it is
Okay.
that you want it to be in terms of being the town's bike and pedestrian facilities plan.
okay.
how about which could be incorporated as opposed to should? Again, until we see it.
May,
Can.
maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
You got shall and you got may, that's the two planners words, so it looks like a may.
All right, then it's a May, because it still is May for one more day.
Okay.
May have it.
All right, I mentioned create bicycle and pedestrian connections between the three villages. I went back and forth with just focusing on creating bicycle and pedestrian connections between Old Town and Byfield, because we almost have the other connection made.
You've got one between, Old Town and,
Oh my.
and
Plymouth.
Plymouth. It exists. So, I think you're right. I still don't know how to do it.
No, me either. I stared at the maps and,
But the emphasis is on Byfield and Old Town getting connected.
yes.
That's Dan's job, connecting those.
I mean, you know, one thing is with the Border to Boston concept, the way it's set up now, it's on Scotland Road, so
Right.
something's gonna have to happen there anyways. There'll be some effort to
What
focus
does,
on,
what does the state do in the federal highway when you go down when you connect these and go down a road like that? Like Jerry got the bridge with a lane in it, and he's got some other stuff done, but what can they do on like Scotland Road to make a lane? Do
I
they
don't
do that
think
with the
really,
lane
I don't
trails?
think it's thought to be a lane, it's thought to be improved shoulders.
Improve shoulders.
Right.
And, you know, but hopefully they'll focus on that narrow part, maybe bump that out a little bit, put some fog lines, that kind of thing.
I'll use some of those bumper things, like the beep, 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 every time.
Dan, in the Border to Boston, in that section, who has the responsibility for doing the work?
I haven't been that active, but my.
Well, it will be feds for construction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They get the money from from the Federal Highway Department, right?
Right.
But do they do the work?
Funding, well, we go out to bid.
Goes out to bid.
But the state does it,
Right, it's a DOT project.
Okay.
and it has to be tarred because of handicap.
What is the problem with not being able to use the Western Division and putting an overpass over 95? Like you see in Maine, just beyond the rest area in Kennebunkport, they got a nice overpass it.
Yeah.
Why can't
It's
we do
fisheries
that?
and wildlife.
Yes.
Yeah, that's who's stopping it.
Well, it was also, I mean, the overpass itself was very expensive.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of compelling argument that taking it through Martin Burns was not appropriate.
That's been the problem.
I thought it was the power company.
There's a
No,
nice,
not power
there's a
company.
nice tunnel in Exeter underneath 101.
Yeah. There's a tunnel in Newbury,
Pedestrian.
in Salisbury. There's a tunnel in Salisbury. They just redid it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
up
yeah,
on,
yeah,
yeah,
They just redid it.
yeah.
They redid the one on 495 too. They did the 95 and the 495.
May,
You couldn't do a tunnel here, it'd be underwater.
No, but they just redid the one in
No, I mean,
Salisbury.
that wouldn't work on Western Division, that'd be
All right.
underwater.
Create by, so there's no fight against this, we just think that,
Byfield and Old Town.
yeah, Byfield and Old Town.
Okay. 3.4, continue to work with other communities to enhance regional bicycle route, rail, trail opportunities. You mentioned your comment, John, that you wanted to focus more on Georgetown and Newburyport. And I think that there are still opportunities that can be had between Newbury and West Newbury.
Really?
There's a lot of bicycle travel is going on in southern West Newbury, cutting across.
Have they done anything?
Okay.
No, the demand is there.
There's
Yeah,
Fountain
yeah.
Road, Middle Road, and then,
Even
a lot of the
115.
roads in.
What's the one that goes down to the temporary?
There's Turkey Hill.
Turkey Hill.
Yeah.
Well, one thing which is nice about West Newbury is that they're easy to bike on.
It's,
Bolton Street.
Bolton Street, yeah.
Right.
Really easy to bike on.
I mean, you know something, in the future, we really should have a better, group to take care of this, put together with the town, that gets back to the selectmen, what we're doing and where we can get grants, and just like other towns are doing.
But isn't this the first step in that? I mean, is that one of the priorities?
Well, I don't know, we've been doing the border of Boston for some time and it goes in fits and starts.
Well, it's picking up again. It was on hold for quite some time because, some scope issues. And it's a 4-town project and now it's being split into different segments, but it is going forward.
It needs a driving force, usually one
Needs a
person.
champion.
I thought Dan was that.
I think-
Like the Bruce Freeman Trail, I mean, it's 20 years and it's still not.
Yeah, these
They got
things
half
take
of it done.
forever.
Well, sometimes
You
I
gotta
do,
measure it in
but if
20,
they get a
30
jump
years.
start with a very good person. When I teamed up with Jerry Clymer and we did the boardwalk on Plum Island and started the Rails to Trails and got a group together, it started going pretty good. And Jerry wrote most of the grants and knew how to get the grants, and we sent them in. And we used Pitter in the beginning because it was a nonprofit. Jump started, got it going, Newbury got going, Jerry went over to Salisbury, got it going. He's a champion of it, and that's what you need in your
Well,
area.
Jerry is a champion of that stuff.
Yeah, no, he has been for
He
Salisbury.
has.
Jeff Wade is in Georgetown.
Right, there's gotta be, what we need to do is find that person and get going.
Steve Manchin.
I'm a champion for the area of environmental concern.
Oh, see, I gave it to him.
Yeah.
It was a softball
Yeah.
and he whiffed.
Yep.
All right, continue with community. All right, so I agree with you on, I don't know what we do with West Newbury. I just, when I go, it's just a nice place to go. And there's not a lot of traffic. And you don't take your life in your hands.
And a lot of people are.
Just do that naturally, right?
What's that road that goes down, off of South Main Street and goes to West Newbury? What's the name of that road? Gets in the dirt.
Forest.
Oh, that's Moody Street.
The one that goes in the dirt?
Yeah, it becomes
Forest
Ash.
Street.
Oh, and it's real
Yeah.
washboard?
Yeah.
I forget the name of it.
Now,
It's Ash in West Newbury and it's Moody in Byfield.
In Newbury, right.
Didn't Forest Street used to go through?
Forest used to go through, yes.
Doesn't anymore.
It doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
could that be a
Yeah, but,
bicycle run?
What?
Oh, it floods, I think, out there. Beaver,
Does a dirt road flood from Moody?
beaver mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, kill 'em, I
I've
agree.
never seen a dirt road flood.
Things.
Well, anyways, I think what this needs is the champion of the area to help us take this over the, finish
Okay.
line. I really believe, especially after having a heart attack, having the places to walk or bike is important because you gotta go out and do cardiac stuff.
Yeah. You're right.
Even if you did it before, you gotta do it more afterwards. Jerry and I used to laugh about this. Now,
That's so funny.
not so funny anymore.
All right,
Okay, we're at 3, 5, or 6.
Five.
This gets back to one of the major stumbling blocks on the border to Boston is, well, that's not, we'll hold that off. Newburyport right now is completing work on their phase 2 of the Clipper City Rail Trail. And it's going to do MTR and Barker Street, right at the Newburyport line.
Yes.
So wouldn't we want to take advantage of that and complete the connection to the sidewalk between Old Town and that location? Because you've got
Is
the
there a-
sidewalk.
We want to extend that sidewalk to the Newburyport line. I see lots and lots and lots and lots of people walking to the train station, and they have to walk in the street. Let's just extend it right, it's not much further than the rail trail, extend it right right to the Newburyport line, put a little pressure on Newburyport to do something
Oh,
about
the
it.
rail, they
So,
will
but-
make the connection between the rail trail and getting to the train station. You just need to get to where the rail trail is gonna empty out onto Parker Street, which is virtually at the line.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's close, but
right
I
at the
want
line.
it to go right to the
Is there
line. I
a
want
plan
it
to connect the end
from
of the
Newburyport
rail?
to
So-
close it.
Yes.
So I need further,
5 years.
I think it was about 90 paces when I paced it.
so there's no sidewalk on Parker right now, is there?
There-
Parts
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
absolutely, there is.
Where?
Oh,
I mean,
it's
it's all,
it's
it's
about,
all
uh,
crumpled and,
oh, no,
But
no,
it's there.
it's not bad.
Look hard enough.
Some places it's not good, but it's not bad.
on the north side of the street.
Mhm.
And they just put a new sidewalk in, right? Where it comes to Route 1 on Parker.
And does
No.
it doesn't go in front of the
Right in front
cemetery,
of
does it?
Kelly?
From the
It's
cemetery, there's no cemetery.
Insurance.
Oh, that's the Newburyport, that's Newburyport.
Actually,
right there, it's
are you
Newburyport.
thinking about
That's
it in front of
Newburyport.
that new construction?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk.
There may be a little bit there, yeah.
We have the same exact issue on Ross Lane as well.
It's somewhat important.
No, it's,
It doesn't,
special.
oh, that's
legislation.
weather
Well, the weather
advisory.
advisory.
It's severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
Tornadoes and kind
Okay, we should leave, let's go.
But we wanna be clear, we'll extend the sidewalk to the Newburyport line.
Yeah.
Right.
And not be.
No, that makes
Right,
sense.
exactly.
Right, or, and to the rail trail.
Right.
Right. Where does it end now? Can you
No,
tell
I
me that?
couldn't tell you the address.
All right, I'll check it out tomorrow.
It's about,
You can, want to get,
about 2/3 of the way to the rail trail.
Bryce is supposed to be eating this.
Right.
You
Three,
should
six,
go. Really?
pursue options for connecting the border of Boston Trail and Byfield to Scotland Road.
Okay.
And this is an issue because the original intent was to have the rail
Wow.
trail go on
Really? It
Middle-
wasn't supposed to get this far?
No, it's supposed to be
Now,
out
is
west.
that here or is that?
And
Well.
after the designers looked at Main Street, they decided it's too narrow, too windy, it'd be much too expensive to try and retrofit Main Street to be able to accommodate
Right, it's
people
all
walking
paved,
and
so-
riding a bike. So now we have a border to Boston Trail that's gonna dead end right in Byfield Center. The idea is now to continue with rail trail along the right of way up till 95 and then along 95 north to connect to Scotland Road.
But they won't fund it, we have no funding. Mass DOT had originally said they would fund the feasibility study for that, now they won't, so we need to find some other way to take a look at that.
Given where it's ending, I think we should have mammoth parking lots, at that facility in Byfield, so you can enjoy the benefits of having hundreds of people.
We use a post office.
But again, if we had somebody that was pushing this whole thing, like Jerry, who goes and finds the way to get the money, he started the STAR program for some other things, he started a lot of things to get a lot of things done in little areas. And I'm willing to get all the information from Jerry. And I just need, I got so many balls in the air, and nothing's getting done. I need somebody that can get it done.
Yeah, no, I know, he's been very effective in the things that he's done.
I mean, I have him do all my law work, you know, for all the things we do, and he's like impeccable.
Okay, 3.7, work with MassDOT to maintain where feasible and appropriate improved bike bed accommodations along Route 1 and Route 1A, which is really more Route 1A.
And that means the sidewalk,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but
So
it
maybe you
doesn't,
just
it
elaborate.
doesn't say it, it should say it more. The
Should we-
sidewalk-
including repairs to the
Right,
sidewalk.
or do you
On
wanna have
what?
that as a separate item?
Yeah, I'd like it as a separate
Yeah,
item
that-
because,
The sidewalk is more pedestrian, it's not bicycle.
That's what I'm saying, I don't want bicycles riding down the sidewalk.
No,
no,
it's not good. Not good for pedestrians at all.
I'm
You know,
supposed to do it in the state.
Well, then instead of a slash, then maybe bicycle and pedestrian accommodation, so you don't get confused.
How about improve both bicycle and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Including new sidewalk on 1A.
From the Newburyport line
I would
to the
even
Park
say-
River Bridge. Like it
I mean, we're
always
using
was.
bicycle accommodations, that's a bit vague.
There was a sidewalk
Why
in
don't you
front of
say,
your house.
you know,
Elizabeth.
bicycle lanes and pedestrian
Elizabeth,
sidewalks?
isn't it Elizabeth? There
I'm
was a
trying to think
sidewalk
what we
in front of
used
your house.
when he went
It's
across
buried
95.
underneath it.
Exactly.
He's got a lane on 95, Jerry does.
Right there, you dig down, it's there.
It's one of the first in Massachusetts.
The one on
The new
on
bridge.
on the new bridge, on the Whittier?
Yeah, and he used the word for it for the pedestrian and the, walking and the bicycle going on the same bridge.
Those are separate, am I right? Those are
It's a separate
segregated lanes, right?
It's a segregated lane. When we move over to the other one, you'll have that whole lane there for it.
Yeah. Okay.
310, then we get the Newburyport, Newbury Police, side, and pedestrians,
There you go.
state and local traffic laws.
There you go, no complaining, Steve.
There we go.
All right, enhance, safe, and environmentally sensitive. Yeah.
Where are you?
Oh, porta potties. No, we didn't do
No, we
three
finished
A.
3A.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was the porta
It
potties,
was
we just
not
didn't
by
want to do
design.
that.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do that.
What have porta potties got to do with transportation?
Well, if you're going to,
If you're my age, you need to go to the bathroom.
It's an apparatus, it's all up
I'm older than you.
You don't go to the bathroom?
Provide,
I can tell you,
Skip
the
that
North
part.
Shore cyclists, they identify where they are on the.
I'm sure they do,
I know they are.
I'm sure they do. I know, I walk in town, I know exactly where I've gotta go.
That's why there's an app for that on your iPhone.
I mean, if you have the bike lanes going to and from the island, you know,
Well,
it begs.
I can update you a little bit on,
facilities.
I talked to Bruce Todd today. And he said that we as a town have to get together and tell him exactly, because I have the money from, putting the bags in the center. We had developed a bathroom for the center. I have the water and sewer hookups are there, which I talked to the mayor and I showed her the other day.
The mayor?
The mayor, because she owns the pipes. And when I was working with the water and sewer, I made sure there was water and sewer hookups for the center and the point. So Bruce said to me today, he said, if we come up with a plan, he'll work very hard to get the money back to do it, whether it's a rolling bathroom or a permanent bathroom. But we have to have the plan.
So do I ask the question now, what happened to, what is this plan that Tracy put forward?
She just put a gazebo and a
A
rock
gazebo,
wall.
like a place to,
Who knows?
I can
Yeah.
amplify that a little bit, in that they are gonna build a gazebo, they're gonna be ripping up the current macadam, putting down fresh macadam, re-lined for parking. And they're putting a nice stone wall against the Williamson property, which is on the south side, so the concrete Jersey barriers are gone. And they've got a bunch of bollards along the side where, the ice cream stand is gonna be.
what's
It's gonna
this?
be?
I haven't been out there now.
I mean, there's already a new ice cream place on the island.
Yeah, I know, no, but what happened to the other
Oh.
place? Are they doing work on it? The other, at the center? Is that ice cream place under construction?
They're
I
doing
think he's-
something.
I think he's still going through permitting, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jeans?
Oh,
Jeans old place?
Oh, yeah, he said he was gonna.
He
do
went
that,
through
yeah.
the Concom,
But we don't have a lot of
It's just
money there,
progression.
Yeah.
so it's gonna be a slow process. I think they're gonna rebuild
Okay.
the apartment first.
Okay, so, but in terms of what you described, there's this, whatever, like a gazebo, but there's no bathroom facilities.
They're planning on some sort of porta potties or some other
They're
structure, but there will be something there so people can use
Tacky,
it for.
tacky, tacky.
Okay.
Now, porta potties go around the gazebo, so you
Yeah.
can stand there and look over the fumes wafting out.
Right.
But this is another, very poorly planned, not talked to the public about, when we could've had this all planned together with the bathroom. Having Bruce go ahead months ago, trying to find money for us. Instead, we're going later to do it. You know, and that's the communication between the town and the people. And it's
Well,
very
lack
poor.
thereof, yeah.
Very, very poor. And knowing that we went through hell to get this 400, which ended up at $550,000, you know, for the island. And knowing the money's there, knowing that we have a very good state rep to get us the money, you would think we would be coordinating with these people.
So, let me just, so who's, the point person for the town is Tracy?
Yeah.
All right,
And DPW's doing the work. It's not the one on their list, so like Martha's list, it's Jim's list, or James's list.
But what I'm saying is if we got our stuff together right now, got with Bruce, we could have something.
Okay.
And I've done all the people thing. I had the mayor, Doug Packer, and Bruce and Lenny in the same room and asked all the questions of everybody. And it all came back to the cooperation and coordination of our town not being very good.
Okay, support development and
Back to
implementation of
3 point,
bicycle
can we go
9.
back to 3.5? Because what has gotten lost here, and I know I had it on the list at one point, and I mentioned it already once, is to extend the Rouse Lane sidewalk to the Newburyport line. It would be right under the Parker Street to the Newburyport line. We have another area which is heavily traveled with pedestrians, and we have a relatively high-speed road there, heavily traveled.
I thought that the sidewalk,
It ends at the elderly building.
oh, it doesn't go to the line. Oh, then you're right, but then you got there and there's nothing in Newburyport.
That's fine, I'd like to put a little pressure on Newburyport.
The report came to fix Ocean Avenue. That's a disaster.
That, he's right, so, extend the,
I'll add that.
yeah.
It was in at one time, I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, support development and implementation of bicycle and pedestrian awareness and well, that's fine. And then the Newbury Police, and then the last item is goal number 4, enhance safe and environmentally sensitive access to the beach on Plum Island and other waterways for Newbury residents and visitors.
Now, this gets back to the Plum Island traffic and parking study that we undertook. One of the issues that was identified before we even undertook that study was to try to look at the parking so as to try and limit the amount of private parking and ad hoc parking that's going on the island. And that was perceived to be a problem.
What do you mean by given private parking?
You have the private lots.
Oh, private lot.
Private
No,
lots.
no, it's their houses.
No. You know, that there were complaints that we had heard of these private lots stopped popping up and impacting travel on the island.
Oh, I haven't noticed that. You mean somebody that parks like 6 or 8 cars in the yard?
Yeah.
On a hot sunny day when everybody comes to the island? That part I haven't seen as a problem.
I think.
Have you already jumped to 4.2?
4-1,
4.1.
Oh, it sounds like a jump into 4.2.
I think someone complained about it, Dan, and then the building inspector said, looked through his record and said, yeah, these aren't permitted parking lots, so a lot of people had been doing it, in some cases for years, were told they could no longer do it, they would be fined. And one person on 16th Street who did have the documentation, she's still allowed to park cars there, but all the other people that were.
is that next to Mad Martha's?
Yeah.
It's the only one I'm aware of. Mad Martha's is, that's the one, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel sorry for them. They pay their parking tickets for all the people that come there to go to the restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand what we're doing. You know, we wanna have businesses on the island, and then we wanna give everybody a parking ticket, you know, I don't know what we're doing. It's,
Well, supposedly you're, well,
I mean, you let the Plum Island Grill park all the way down Sunset,
right,
and you have a little breakfast joint that they put, that
they have
makes,
30-minute parking.
no, they don't even have that.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They have
4
4
spots,
spots.
that's what I'm saying,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't understand what we're doing.
Yeah, well, the police department uses a lot of discretion, I know from.
So who sets that? Who sets that policy? The selectmen or?
And Sue Noyes has pointed out that the restaurant actually is a non-conforming use, I think that's a quote or something like that, that enters into
So what?
deliberation.
But it's.
So is
Pre-existing,
Plum,
so it doesn't matter.
so is in Plum Island Grill, isn't it?
Yeah, well, everything on Plum Island basically is non-conforming.
Yeah,
Maybe other than
Right.
single family houses.
Yeah.
non-conforming.
Well, there's some two families.
But again, my understanding is the police will use some discretion, if they see they're at 8 o'clock with the line out the door, they're not gonna immediately start writing tickets. But if it's 1 o'clock and they see all the beach gear in the car, then they will start.
Well, if
getting
you
rid of
have,
it.
if you have a Newbury sticker, you can park anywhere.
Yeah, but people go down there on Sunday morning, on Saturday morning. with
You
their
don't have a
families.
sticker.
They don't have a sticker in the car.
Clientele to only Newbury
Right,
residents.
right, right.
on-
That
You
would,
can't.
that would be true.
In a couple of weeks, she paid 400 of her breakfast people's parking tickets, so I
So
don't
is
think
she,
it's limited.
so has she come before the Board of Selectmen
Yes,
and
and they
asked
didn't
for,
do anything for her.
what did she ask for, do you know?
Some
Relief.
relief from this.
How long ago was that?
Oh, a couple of times last summer.
Oh, really?
In the spring. You remember it, right?
You know,
You don't?
I wasn't there for the meetings, I don't know if you were, but I also know that some of the abutters would not favor giving Mad Martha's more parking. I'm not taking a position, I'm just letting you know that
What, and so what happens with Beachcomber? Do
They
they,
have their own parking.
Yeah, they got parking lot.
but not that much?
Oh, no, they have across the street.
Across the street.
Ah, of course they do.
Across the street. And
They have
Richie,
more than
and
Plum
Richie
Island
has,
Grill.
and Richie
Yeah.
has the parking
Oh,
lot
yeah.
next door to that. Richie Capilupo has a parking lot next to that, okay? And then you got the two at the center.
Well, you hate to pick on poor Mad Martha, I mean, they don't serve booze, I mean, they're
They
fighting,
just,
they're fighting an uphill battle.
right. And then when you get down to the Plum Island Grill, the whole of Old Point Road has no parking. The whole of Sunset has parking, okay? And the people over there really get beat up because they, you know, now we're dealing with drinking people at night, turning in your driveway, parking in your driveway, not caring.
So, so
Versus
what
a
do you say,
breakfast joint.
is what's happening there that the police are kinda saying, well, there's a guy who's parking, we're
No,
gonna
they
let it
don't.
go, or they
They
give him
don't.
tickets?
They don't, they give her tickets.
just to remind everyone here now that the cottage has purchased what used to be Angie's, there's quite a bit of parking there across the street as well. But I think what we're identifying, Old Point Road, Sunset, Mad Martha's, it really needs to be an integrated plan where everything is put together and not
Yeah.
just.
So-
And that gets back to 4.1, and Fred was wondering why we jumped to 4.2. And 4.1 is, you know, it's tied in, everything we've been discussing tied back in even to looking at having parking on Olga Way, which was the proposal that was.
So when you did your
Before.
study a couple of years ago of the traffic out there, did you do a parking study as well?
Yes,
That's
You do-
complete?
You do
have that?
realize Overway had a parking lot till '05.
I used to park.
So,
Yeah.
so Tony, is that owned by you? Meaning MVPC owns that, or is the town own the study?
You do.
But
We
commission-
do. We commission.
So we
this.
have it,
Right,
Yep.
right.
so what are we doing with it?
Well, I think,
You had the proposal to put parking in on Olga Way, and I remember that was presented at a Plum Island.
So what kind of
Parking
language
study
do we
meeting
wanna
there.
do here to resuscitate this or not?
I think they're resuscitating it on their own, because there's a ton of people who there's 300 and something parking tickets sold, and there's like 6 parking spaces for people in town to park at Plum Island.
Oh, you can park on Northern Boulevard.
Yes.
Those are
Yeah, I was
going
parked,
like
and
that.
I parked on,
roads,
what's the other one? Yeah, Northern Boulevard.
There's
I
there's so
parked
many
it.
fewer spaces there than it used to be, because they put all hydrants on that side of the street.
Ah.
Really brilliant.
Yeah,
But again, I think we're talking about the need for a comprehensive plan to address parking issues on Plum Island in a manner that minimizes adverse effects to the area of critical environmental concern and the residents, not the area residents.
Town residents or,
well, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We're taking money from the states and federal government. We are still part of the America, and people have the right to come to Plum Island.
All right, all right.
I know your fence is up there, Steve,
Let me,
but
now, let me,
you gotta take it down.
no, let's stop that.
Yeah.
I'd like to resuscitate the study, but I don't know who does it, Martha. Just put it in here and we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
yeah.
Right, because a lot has changed, so that it needs
We'll,
to be
we'll put
updated.
it in here and we'll get a
I
champion for
really,
it.
I really think the parking study that she did with this parking meters and all this stuff, I don't think that's gonna fly. I think you put back the parking lot that was there. and have
It'll go away.
At Ogre Way, have sticker only, so Newbury residents can go there. You know what I mean? So that the rest of the town has a place that they paid for the 300 stickers to go.
Mhm.
Because right now, there's no place to go. Everything is cut down between fire hydrants, taking the parking spots away at the center. It's down to nothing.
Mailboxes, you know.
Yeah.
Beach access points.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tony, you get that? All right. Continue to delineate, maintain, and enforce.
Oh, you skipped 4.2.
No, that was part of one.
See, I flipped 2 and 1, that's why you looked at me like I screwed up there.
I would like to delete 4.2 entirely.
Yeah.
I think
You're
you're,
right.
I think you're bleeding the people who are paying umpty-ump dollars in taxes from trying to get a little bit of money once in a while,
Yeah.
probably 2 holidays in the weekend, I mean, in
Increase
the summer or
enforcement
something.
to
This is
eliminate
stupid.
illegal charging for parking.
And probably most of them are letting just friends and relatives park there anyway.
For free.
Yeah, right. It's stupid.
I mean, I know some of the lots where people were charging on those few weekends a year, I didn't really perceive it to be a big problem. People were getting $5 a car or
I know
whatever.
what.
And if it were, I think if they spilled out
Okay,
into the
I
street.
mean, I'll take my
probably
key from
would.
you
Too much
guys.
big
It's not a
money.
problem? Then it's not a problem.
It's never been a problem.
Okay. So where'd it come from?
I think because Sam
It
has
was
enforced
in
it.
there a while back, and I thought we voted to do away with it, but here it is again.
Okay.
Well, now it's gone.
4.3.
Oh, good.
Oh, I don't believe you.
Well, let's see.
All right, 4.3.
Yeah, delineate, maintain, and enforce existing rights of way leading to the waterways on Plum Island.
So that's the work, that has been done?
That's ongoing.
And ongoing,
Well,
to the beach. Where you see all these
But-
white things now that
I did
stand up.
I personally went out there and put those things in with the state of New Hampshire,
The
the
kids.
University of New Hampshire.
I
But-
think, I'm sorry.
But what I wanted, when I was out there, I didn't know whether I was on street 3 or 5 over here. So I went to the policeman and I said, is this 3 or 5? He goes on his computer, he says, I don't know. I don't know what it is, 3 or 5. So I finally figured it out. I went home, got my map, this map, and figured it out, and it was 5 I was starting at, not 3. 3 wasn't there, okay? And I paid the town to put signs on all the right-of-ways, so they're numbered. Not that they're open, so they're numbered, so people would know where they were. So that when the police come down, they could go 5th Street, 2nd
Right.
Street,
Right.
9th Street. And we haven't done it yet. We put the emergency signs out, but we haven't put those signs. And Newburyport's just as bad. They haven't done it either. And that's what you need, because when you're at the stick on the other side and it says you're at 5th Street, okay? And the police come down the street, where's 5th Street?
You need it on the other side, yeah. It doesn't exist there, so who's supposed to do that?
Well,
The town?
well, what we did as Pitter, we gave the money to have them made. They got made,
So the
All of
signs
them,
are-
so all the ones you need,
and I don't know
to
where
be
they
the
are.
beginning and the end of both.
We don't know where they are, and nobody puts them up. It gets very confusing.
So, DPW has them?
Yes. DPW ordered it, but I couldn't find them down there. They can't find them down there.
All right.
But,
Yeah, the
but,
signage is not as clear as it should be. Sometimes you just get town resident only parking, sometimes you get emergency access point, do not block, and the police will write a ticket against people blocking the emergency access point.
Okay.
but it's gotta be clear.
I agree. The part that's missing on this, though, I would say, it isn't just going to the waterways, but it's also, there's a lot of, shall we say, dead-end streets, like Temple, where people park in the right-of-way there. And there's some other streets on Plum Island that, people take over and then use it for their own private parking.
So we'll get rid of leading to waterways, just.
Well, actually,
Existing rights of way, right?
here, this is what
Waterways
we
and
did.
rights of way.
Okay, this is what we did. We did every right-of-way on Plum Island, going to the basin and going to the ocean. And what we did is, see these colors here,
Mhm.
whether they should be open or not? In other words, closed because it's bad beach in front or something like that. So that, but all right-of-ways go to the beach. are available if it's not an emergency in front of them. In other words, the sand hasn't been taken away, or there's not a new dune there or something. They should be open and right
Just wanna
to the,
delete leading
to the public.
So there should be no dead end
Delete the
right
rest of the
of way.
sentence.
right,
There's-
unless,
There's actually a bunch of this in the beach management plan, which.
Existing rights of way.
Like,
Yeah.
choice in that.
I mean, there's a ton of existing right of ways.
There should be.
Okay, we have a recommendation to just to delete leading to waterways.
Right,
Right.
absolutely.
All right,
On,
Tony?
yeah.
I got it.
Got it?
Thank you.
Provide bicycle parking facilities at Plum Island parking lot and other water access points on Plum Island.
Well,
Or, again, we can get rid of water access points.
Um,
And,
well, the water access points are each one of these things that are along Northern Boulevard.
yeah,
Yeah,
I park my bike there all the time.
and space gets to be a problem. Again, I'm just opining that, where do you put the bicycle rack? You're gonna try and get it up on the dune versus the base.
You know,
of the dune on
most
the
people
pad.
are also they walk their bike right onto the sand and they lock it up at the, on the entryway down, or they bring it down
I'm
to the.
gonna tell you something, if it was a perfect world, we just bought $6,000 worth of Moby mats to go on 69th Street. And if we had Moby mats all the way down the beach, people could actually bring their bicycle over, because it would be a hard surface, and put it where the grass wasn't, you know what I mean? And then they could watch it, which is the big thing, right? Because you can tie it to a bike rack, but you can't tie it to a sand dune.
Right. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the answer to that one is.
Not
But it says provide bicycle parking, maybe we should,
We do have some at the
Excuse
center.
me,
Dan put it up.
just for Fred.
Right,
Those
Dan?
are those are for Fred.
I did help, yes.
It's only been hit with snowplow a couple.
All right, identifying, where are we?
Yeah, 4.5.
5.
Identify and prioritize potential improvements for waterway facilities, including additional boat launches, improvements to existing boat launches, guardhouses, Parker River ramp, storage area, et cetera, I should say.
What is a storage area?
Yeah, let's just drop guardhouse, there's no guardhouse. Guardhouse at Parker River ramp and storage area, just drop that off of there.
Okay.
By the way, there's a lot,
What is that
a lot
little
going on here
thing?
right now.
What would you call that little?
Guardhouse.
Well, it ain't a guardhouse. It's an office.
It's a guardhouse. Big guys,
Well, it's gone now.
No, it's there.
I took it off.
Oh, it's gonna say the guardhouse is still there.
That's their office.
And it's a trailer.
Yeah.
Do we have to call or anything about this, about Plum Island? I don't know whether people are, you're talking about people using the right of way to the waterways, access for kayaks and other floatable boats. Is that an issue, or how are we addressing that here? I'm asking.
Well, like 4.6, we're saying we should update the water trails map developed by MPPC in 2007. We revised it in 2016. I think Fred could take another look at what I've done in terms of updating that map, so he could tell me what.
You know what he's talking about, Fred?
See, there you go. It's perfect.
I'm sorry.
No, we put together a
Proceed.
C minus.
a water trails map back in 2007 that showed all the places where you could sort of go in
On
on
Plum
Plum
Island.
Island, in most of the eastern part of the
Wow.
Merrimack Valley region.
Wow.
And when I ran that map in front of everybody, they all said, well, that's good, this is bad. And I've sort of made the changes that were pointed out to me. I haven't shown the revised map to anyone.
Can anybody go down the beach with a kayak? Is that legal or not legal?
It's legal.
I think it's.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's like a surfboard.
Or a
Yeah.
paddleboard.
Well,
It's a human powered craft.
Oh, I just wondered. I
So
didn't.
they
I
do
didn't know.
everywhere else.
Why do you think
Yeah.
there was something elsewhere that we were reading that had stuff about access by that one island bridge and?
You know,
Well, that would be state, right?
no,
no,
That's state property.
I thought I read something about it.
That's actually
he
state
did,
property.
he did. It's in the recreation, it's in the,
You know where the old bridge was? It's definitely state property.
It is?
Yes. Where the old bridge was is state property.
Pretty sure.
Positive.
Well, it's easy enough to find out, just take out the assessment map
yeah.
and
Did you check into that, Tony, or, because, again, that could be part of
I think that's
comprehensive
town property.
parking issues for Plum Island,
Why
if
would
the town
that
has
be, why would that be
regulatory authority.
state property?
Because the state owns the bridge.
Yeah,
It's
and the
county-
old bridge.
it's
Well, it's a
county
state
land,
bridge.
But it's a county road.
The state owned the old bridge?
Yes,
I don't think so.
yes,
Really?
yeah.
They own most of the bridges.
I
That's
think
why they built it.
bridges are
You
on
can
West
look that
Coast.
up.
That kind of a
Assessment
bridge,
map.
which is boat access and all that stuff.
The subsidiary issues to that is when we have all these spring tides, those lots can flood too, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
waiting for
Oh,
the day to
course.
see the cars floating around there and then into the marsh.
But you know, our parking problem on Plum Island, I think is 12, 15 days a year. You know what I mean? And the rest of the time, it's okay. And
You're right, weekends in July and August.
Probably not even 12, 15, maybe a little less.
no, we had some spring days that, you know, or a storm. A storm brings a lot of people down. They wanna see all the devastation. You know?
Eco-tourists.
Now you're making it sound like the Newburyport parking.
So, Tony, you believe that you have shown this to members of this subcommittee, and they've given it to us. So we do have this map,
We did go over it.
and so you can finalize that for the final plan?
And I'll circulate it to
Okay.
everybody.
Okay. Update, so not do update, you have updated it, what do we wanna do with it once it's updated?
Implementation.
Implement. All right, so change the rules. Where, the water trail, you're not gonna implement the map, you're implementing the,
Access.
Access to.
create access as depicted in the water trails map or something like that, as needed. I'm leaving it up to you, I'm just throwing these words out at you.
Although it's-
In many cases, these are
these are
existing
existing access points.
access points, so it's not like you're creating, maybe, we'll be talking about
Make them known,
moving.
make them known.
Do you have one of these now?
No,
Do you want one?
sure,
You got it.
thank you.
You asked for it.
Yeah, I think what I was talking about was Fred's, recommendations for recreation.
And recreation, right, he has that in there. All right,
And so now we're down to the final stretch here.
I don't like any of them. I don't like any of these.
Well, John didn't like a couple of them either. He wondered whether there was indeed any transit that's being
Yeah.
operated between
But
either
just think
town
of the
villages and
questionnaire,
Newburyport.
think of the answers on the questionnaire, I don't think we need this, any of these.
We have public transportation to Plum Island by
Yes,
bus.
we do.
I thought they only went to Newburyport.
No, they go down.
no,
to the
you're
beach.
not,
But
well,
they,
there's some,
they don't stop in Newbury.
Yes,
There
they
you go,
do.
so we
They
don't
do.
have.
No,
They're not supposed to stop.
it doesn't stop,
But they
Yes,
do.
it does.
where does it stop?
Wherever the people stand out there.
Oh,
going
and say,
like
I
this.
wanna stop,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go.
Should we get more enforcement by the police on that? Since again, this is an area of critical environmental concern.
Oh, of
Newbury
course
is
it
not part of that bus transportation network.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
why are people
Yeah, they're
stopping
gonna
there
end
and
up
going on
charging us
there?
eventually,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is terrible. I mean, they might even put it down, put a roll of wheelchair on.
Yeah, they might end up charging us.
Well, but that gets to, Tony's initial draft, talking about improve, 5.2, and Newburyport, which I would, X out. And that gets to the summer schedule, where, there are no listed stops on the route. They show stops at the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge headquarters. They show it down in Newburyport portion of Plum Island. They don't show stops in Newbury for a very good reason.
And what's that?
We're not part of that network. I'm sorry, Tony, your answer.
All right, so I'm sure the town is not being assessed for the miles that are being run by the MVRC.
No, but don't think, somebody might think about it.
All right,
Well,
Good planner.
so, do we wanna say something about that service which runs to Newburyport, do we think that we want to have?
Why don't we leave it alone?
Yeah, why don't we ignore it?
And let the people that put their hand out
Well,
get the bus ride.
okay, I'm okay with that.
Let it kneel down and the wheelchair can go on.
Marshall, you have any thoughts on that?
That's fine.
And 5.3, just the opposite.
Yeah, how big an issue is that?
Just the
really?
opposite. Now, I can just give you an example. during the election, they had a thing at the senior center. And the candidates came to the senior center, and of course, the school was in session, there was no parking. The seniors all parked outside where they usually park for town meeting, which of course is no parking, and they came out, and they all had tickets. Just the opposite. You wanna have less enforcement for special events.
I could have sworn in one of the committee meetings, we were talking about the fact that there was parking where it shouldn't be and it was causing environmental damage.
That was on Sunset, I think. What, on the marsh? Well, that's the one I remember.
You know my thoughts on this.
Listen, I have meetings with the MRBA, and we come out and there's parking tickets on the cars of
Yeah, same thing.
politicians.
Really?
Yes. That are down there helping us.
Hey, I get thunder.
Yeah, you do.
So with that,
Your ears aren't bad.
get rid of 5
No,
minutes
it
here.
is pretty good. At least-
So I think we'll take the 5s out.
at least my right.
All right.
ear.
All 3 of them?
I think so.
Just none?
Am I right?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So, we have 10 minutes to go, but I think Fred can lead us through the recreation component in a quick 10.
Oh,
We're
see if I
on
can
it.
find my stuff.
Yeah, let's find them.
Oh,
And
there it
then
is.
we'll call it a night after
You
that.
told me I was gonna do this just a few minutes ago.
I know, it's a lot of pressure.
Everybody who needs them.
No, you wish you went first.
I know. Well, so we did this, Fred did this some time ago,
Yeah, right, and then I redid it a little,
and
so,
we
yeah.
haven't done a lot of work on it, so there you go.
Transportation?
No, this is recreation facilities, which is a subset to the community facilities, component. We were gonna do that as well tonight, but I think that might take a little longer, because these are much more succinct and to the point, so I thought we'd go through this, get this and the transportation done, and then the next time we meet, we'll finish up the land use and finish up the community facilities, and pretty well, that will do it, except for, natural resources and cultural facilities, which probably will be done further down, like in the summer and stuff like that, but that would mean that we will have the 5 major components of the master plan done, so, recreation.
Just a question on the recreation here, is there more, is this just comments on top of,
There's a
Some other
recreation,
content?
there's in the,
This is just the facilities, yeah.
in the community facilities section, we cover the schools, town hall, police station, fire, recreation, wastewater, those kind of things. Recreation is 2 or 3 pages, I think, or something like that.
I mean, is there some interface with the recreation committee?
There has not been.
There has not been. One of the recommendations we make here is that the open space plan ought to be done as the next step.
It is the open space and recreation.
Right.
committee.
You know, it is, right? You know, right? So, this is consistent with what was in the master plan in terms of inventory and sets of recommendations in the 2006 plan. Then that was dovetailed into the open space plan when that was completed. So,
All right, I'll just go through very quickly. Lunch Street, of course, which is a ball field, was in great shape, basically. And the only thing wrong with it was there was a junky old picnic table and it should be either removed or replaced. The Epic Green,
So just before, I had a question on this, and only that, because all you guys know about what happened, and on Lund Street, we did apparently acquire property next to the existing Little League field to be developed, am I right? But it was never done.
behind. Yeah, that's
Behind.
behind here,
It's right behind here,
Yeah,
and we've never done it.
no, that's,
And
it's kind of swampy land too,
so why was it,
It's actually not.
what, so,
It's not swampy?
No, there's a little wetlands crossing.
do we know why that didn't move forward then?
Just because, you know, the.
Manta Field took all the precedence, that's what happened.
No, it was just, there was no plan, there was no money to
There you go.
do anything, and now it's a forest.
Yeah.
And
it-
so,
well,
nothing's gonna
Forest
happen.
End too, pretty much, but
I
it's
mean,
gotten more of a
the
forest.
whole thing has to be bulldozed.
It's
again.
my guess also that the population that it would serve, which is Little League, has been declining.
there was difficulties with the Barnfield Little League as well. They
That's good.
kinda wanted to do it their way and then,
So there's no prospect of moving forward with that?
well, I think it might be in there that it should be reviewed as a
What
possible.
is it something we think we should look at?
And it was purchased for recreation purposes, and they did develop a plan, but they weren't able to move it forward. It showed the fields and basketball
Mm-hmm.
courts, parking.
Whatever happened to, I used to run sandlot baseball on the 2 greens, and I bought T-shirts for everyone, and the kids would come down, we'd throw the gloves in the middle, let the kids go out and play, you know, if the teams were a little off, we'd switch a couple of guys, and tell the parents to go away. And they had their T-shirts on that said Sandlot because they couldn't play in the other league.
You're in another era.
I know, but.
Everything is
but-
organized today.
I know that, but we're missing.
Yeah, you're right, but
The true meaning of a sport, that the kids get together and throw the hockey sticks one way, the glove the other way, whatever it may be, and play the game. I mean, I go to a town meeting and we talk about spending $200,000 on a building, and then they tell us that only teams that are scheduled to play can play there. I can't get a bunch of guys together and go up there and play. What are we doing?
There's no place to congregate, like I know my kids go to Cashman, but there's no place in Newbury to go to just play and meet friends.
you can
I
do
bet
that
you
at
can do it the
Capital
lo-
Park, I'm
I
surprised.
bet you can do it at the lower green.
Yeah, you can,
Bunch of kids can just
No,
show up at
because
the lower
they-
green and play.
As long as it's not taken by somebody else.
Right, but I mean, it's not taken that often for
You
for
can do it on
football or
like,
or
but
baseball.
what I'm
You've done
saying,
it.
what I'm saying is we spend all these millions of dollars buying these properties. And then we have all these leagues going to them,
Yeah.
okay? Instead of
Well,
being
from
open
out of town.
to the public, which is us, to go play, we talk about how much money we spend
Now,
on.
you brought that up at town meeting, and I'm only raising this because the woman did get up who lived next door and said that her kids play there all the time. You know, and so
They do,
that's
Yeah,
what
they
she
do.
said. That's what
Yeah,
she
'cause I
said.
live around the corner from that. And
but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you call to use that field, okay, I went to all the meetings with to the fields, right? I went to all of them and I said, when is there time for the regular people to be able to use this? Cause they had somebody scheduling, if it
Yeah.
wasn't raining, it was scheduled to be used.
Right,
And there
well,
was leagues out of Danvers using it,
Yeah, right.
not here.
they are scheduling it to make some money out of it, is my understanding.
But from what I
So it's a
hear,
bit of it's a quandary.
I mean, to me, it sounds like more emphasis should be given to letting Newbury residents use the fields ahead of outside interests.
Well,
It
Right,
is-
and then if there's
Of course,
opening,
that's
then
gonna
you-
be up to the board of selectmen, because I think they're making a financial decision, that's my
No,
guess.
no. The financial decision is made by the people of this town when they decide to go a 2.5 over, or buy it for $1 million. We made the decision to have a public park.
Actually, it was made, the purchase was for, there was a real problem with playing fields at that
Right.
point in time.
So it was
For
playing
organized
field.
For
sports,
active
for
recreation.
Triton Youth Soccer.
It's very specifically for playing.
When
fields.
they were at the town meeting and Chuck Bear's sister was explaining this, she said it's the only open field that we can have for our kids for the future. That's what she said. That's what we bought into. And that's what we voted to spend $1 million for.
Well, I mean, I think that was.
That's what we bought
That was
into.
a response to an identified problem with a shortage of playing fields. And
For the public, for us, the
for
town,
the youth of
Of
Newbury
Newbury.
and Jason.
not Danvers seniors playing soccer. And I mean, you go there and you're like, wow. I mean, am I wrong in thinking that when a town buys a piece of property for the public and for the youth of the kids and even the adults to use, and they rent it out because that's financially better?
I know that, okay, I'll step in here for a sec. One of the reasons that it's being rented out was the provision given to the folks who were going to put the field up was, how are you gonna do this and not cost us any money? In other words, you have to go make money with this. And so they took that to heart. Now, you raised an excellent point, and that is, how how much should be there for the kids, for the town? And if, on the weekends, it's full, on the weekdays, it's empty.
Mm.
And,
Oh, it's used a lot on the weekdays at night. Oh, you mean daytime, during the daytime.
Yeah, well, that's because nobody's around.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I understand the money, and we had no money at that time.
Yeah.
We had no money,
Of course,
And-
during school, daytime.
and we were looking for a field, and we wanted a field for our kids to play on, okay? And then I went to the meetings, and we went just a little bit too far to keep this field up perfect and great for everybody to play soccer on. We went too far, and I think there's a happy medium somewhere where our kids can use it.
no,
You know, and use it without having to go to a meeting with somebody and say, we're gonna schedule
Now, I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, but do you have evidence that shows that kids wanna play there and they can't?
Do you have evidence that they don't?
I'm just saying, and I'm asking it because if you do,
Because
then you
the
then you
problem is,
take that and you use that as a request of Tracy and the Board of Selectmen to make changes, because you can demonstrate that kids are trying to use it and they
But what
can't
you-
do it.
but what I'm saying is we're using how do we know that her kids that go down to Newburyport to play wouldn't go there to play? We don't know.
Don't know.
Why can't come with no sidewalks?
What was that? What'd you say?
No sidewalks.
No sidewalks.
I do too, but I won't let them.
But you understand what I'm saying? We don't know because we're not letting them do it.
See, I don't know, I don't have any young kids. Anybody here have young kids? No.
Well, we're the old people.
Yeah.
I got grandkids.
We're all the old
Yeah,
people.
no, we go over to the ball field there in Lund. It's
There you go.
frequently available.
Lunch, do you? It's
Yeah.
frequently available. And I take my grandkids to Upper Green and both. Upper
I
Green and Lower
just-
Green.
I just, when a public property should be public property.
No, you got a good point, but
And maybe we spend too much time on it.
All right, come on.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Trained.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'll brave the rain first. I'll
They're-
come back
they're-
if it's
they're
too
leaving.
bad.
They're all leaving.
All right, look,
Just take the sheet with you. But
Upper Green.
just keep in mind, this was done, a lot of this was done a year and a half ago.
Okay,
That's how long this process has been. And a lot of this stuff is no longer true.
that's all right.
I mean, you go to, the Upper Green, now there's what's his name, Abelow's, son, who's very active, wants to redo the whole Upper Green, and he wants to get funding for it. A lot of it seems to be kind of inappropriate for
I
what
think a lot of it's
what
inappropriate
the
too. I
purpose of the
support you
green
on
is,
that.
but, you know, the Upper Green is not in the greatest shape. It doesn't say it here, but the drainage is horrible in the Upper Green for the ball field. And it's
Like
fairly easily
right
taken
now,
care
there's
of.
a lot of ducks in the ball field.
Yeah, it's fairly easily taken care of with some underground drainage.
Right.
Uh,
Actually, that's not written here, and I think that maybe
No,
saying that should
Yeah.
be done.
yeah, you could do that.
Address the
The
drainage.
drainage, I think I did put that in somewhere, but it's not in here.
Yeah, that's, okay.
I think that was in the update, but anyway, and there's some missing shade trees that should be replaced, but,
and there's another one slated to be removed, as I
Yeah.
recall.
yeah. And then the Lower Green, a lot of that has been addressed just recently.
Just the other day.
Yeah, they haven't got the signs up yet, but
So I think that
they're
all,
making steady progress on that one, that
Did-
looks good.
did you make your case in front of the selectmen on this?
Yeah,
You
I
must
was there. Yeah.
You must have. Everything you've got here was what they did. You impressed?
I
Very
can't
impressed.
believe you got
They
away
said
with
that the
Yeah,
chief did it all,
seriously.
so, and he did, but
No, it's very
he
good.
listened to me, so, no, that's good. And Locken Road, a lot of that has changed dramatically.
Right.
He's done it to the guy, Ben has done a terrific job on the Beavers, terrific job on the Beavers. Beaver fans wouldn't be happy, but, and the Fishway, he got Jimmy to rebuild the Fishway, it's in great shape, it'll fall apart by summer, but it was in great shape, well, like they said, it isn't gonna last long.
So do you wanna restate some of these things, and
I can,
why
yeah,
don't you do that?
I thought I had somewhere, but anyway, let's see.
Do you have that?
This is the latest version.
This is the
Really?
latest, yeah, it's the latest we have.
I can double check.
And then the boat launching facilities, they're also working on that. Yeah, I can redo that too. They're working on that. Of course, we've got a launching ramp that's been stacked for 2 years, taking up about 2 or 3 parking spaces.
So what are they doing right now? Are they actually gonna put the launching ramp in?
After the season, it
After the
says.
season, right.
Yeah, of course, that's been true for 2 years now.
Do you really think the thing about going back to grass is for real?
Well, I think they should, because, you know, it looks like hell. It's awful. And the top part of that could easily be grassed. You go look, see what Rowley did, or what Rowley does. Rowley has a smallish gravel parking lot, and then all their overflow parking is a field, a grass field. And you have to realize how often this is used. It's only used weekends, you know.
Yeah, but in the winter, I mean, you got the clammers using it all the time.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, oh, you need part of, yeah. But
I mean, that's the
once
dilemma.
a day.
The dilemma I see, I mean,
There's
you're right on the
root-
weekends.
no tree roots to kill. The steep part, you're gonna still have to treat with some kind of paving.
Yeah,
But the part that's up front, that's visible from the road, could easily be put back to grass.
so in front of the house,
Yep,
right in front of the house, make it green.
right, right.
And then
Just remember,
on the steep thing going down, keep that as gravel.
yeah, it does say it here, just remember, this was given to the town as a park,
Alright,
and it's a parking lot.
so they're,
I understand that kinda has to be so.
alright,
It
but
could
they
look
are,
a
they
little
are,
more like a park.
they are pushing traffic down to the kayak place and to the marina.
Yeah.
That's the overflow
Yeah.
parking. Have they ever done that before?
There has been some people parked there before, at least at the marina.
But they weren't directed.
That's right, that's correct.
So this is gonna happen pretty soon.
I would hope so. I would hope so. What have I got to say about Plum Island Beach? I don't know.
Yeah, let's hear this, Fred. We have to make a decision.
Oh, there you go.
There you go, that'll make that.
Ah. Well, good point. It's a good point.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, we just had a meeting with the Army Corps, CZM, and our state reps and state senators, Congress. And that it's looking like that we're gonna get $2 million to take our part of putting sand on the offshore. But in that we take that money, we are a public place.
Oh, no, I understand.
Okay, and that's a big deal to the town of Newbury, because if we get that money, Newbury does not have to kick in any money, it's percentage,
Right.
okay?
There was an article, just on that point, in some paper today, about New Jersey. And New Jersey has all this sand replenishment that's gone on with money.
Yeah, they have $1 billion.
Sandy grants. And all of a sudden, instead of restricting parking to like 1 hour a time, now it's up to 5 hours a day for anyone,
Right.
because they're using federal money.
Yep.
Simple as that,
And we've already used it,
yeah,
we brought it right down to the Senate,
I used to that, I do that.
yeah.
okay? We
So it's a
already-
fact of life, this is the stuff
This is a
from,
fact of life.
it's from Portland, or Portsmouth?
We're gonna drop it off on the Salisbury side, in the dumping zone, and off Newbury, which it needs on the
Yeah.
southern part of Newbury. We just did that 2 Fridays ago. We decided, now we're in the permitting section, okay? We are top on the federal list because of the way we run our MRBA meetings,
Mhm.
in that we don't have lobbyists, we use our politicians and our local governments to go after the government, and the Army Corps comes to our meetings. So everybody's involved in the situation, so we're high on their ranking for the 2 million. Now, if we get that 2 million, that means we get free offshore, and then when they do the Plum Island Merrimack River, if they do an offshore dump, which would be like basically the Newburyport, Newbury, off the southern jetty, all right, which all sand comes ashore. It, you know, with the wind and the tide, so you do get it back on your
And it
beach.
all goes out again.
Yeah, oh, it does. But basically, we could have a lot of, with 750,000 yards from Portsmouth, okay? and 18,000 yards from the Merrimack River for free, okay? Which is a big deal to the value of your
Yeah,
home.
see, I thought that the local town or had to come up with something.
Well, on the dredging, as long as we don't put it on the beach,
As long as you don't put it on the beach.
we don't have to come up with anything.
But if it goes on the beach, you have to pay.
We have to
If you
pay.
put it out, how far out in the?
That's
ocean
right,
is it
well,
going?
we're putting it in, that's what it took us months to go over designated areas, and we finally went with the Army Corps designate, because they know the whole length. They had a little one done by Woods Hole, but it was only on Plum Island, and it didn't show a dumping zone that could do the whole area, so we went with the Army Corps.
Okay,
So we've used all the federal stuff that they give us, okay? So and the state has given us money if we need it.
okay.
They're gonna give us all the money for the permit.
So the answer to all of this, Fred, is that, and your question about the future of Plum Island is that we better do a plan to develop more parking. Because it's open to everybody. All right, landing place, this is right down your thing, right?
Yeah, right
How big
across.
is this thing? I mean, I go down all the
It's the end
time.
of Cottage Road.
I know, and I never, I always say,
Used
where
to
is
be a
it?
beach there years ago.
There's nothing
All-
left,
All grown in with
there's
grass.
nothing left.
I mean, there's really,
You got Eddie Boyle's taking it all over with his.
that's what I.
So is there anything that can be, is there anything that can be done here, or what? I mean, It'd be nice.
Well, the neighbors, I mean, the people on Cottage Road use that to launch their boats and kayaks and.
so is
Even,
this,
even bigger boats that'll launch their.
do we leave this alone?
There's no parking for anybody else.
There's no
to-
parking.
No, there's no parking there, no. It's basically for the
It's a
Cottage
private
Road
thing.
neighborhood.
Well, there's some local
So let
claimants
them
leave
do
their boats there.
No, no,
They got,
Yeah.
they couldn't do
not
that.
anymore.
They can't do
They
it
did,
anymore?
but not anymore.
There's no room.
I don't know where they.
No,
Well, they left them in the
no,
water.
that's not true.
Oh.
I mean, years ago, they all used to leave
They
it.
all left them right there.
Yeah, we kids used to throw rocks, well, not we kids. The bad
The
kids
bad kids.
used to throw rocks at them, yeah, and you hear them paying off the aluminum boat, and say, well, you aluminum boat stands on them. But, not me though. But, no, there's no clammers, Thistlewood used to keep his boat there, there's no clammers keep their boats there today.
I know Big Frank kept his there for a while because he doesn't have a license, but I think he brought it up
Yeah.
to Parker River.
But it is used, they don't really swim there anymore. You have, I don't have, oh yeah, Pine Island River is the same thing.
Right.
Pine Island, yeah.
Well,
Pine Island Creek, no, I don't have, do I have? Pine
No,
Island?
no, no, you had it in your list, in your chart.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but on this one, the next one, the Plum Island River access, that's one we really need to
Yeah.
resolve who owns the land.
That's right. I agree. I
So let's
assumed all
do
along. I
that,
assumed.
and then if we have to say something about it, we can if it's town owned.
Yeah. And then Parker River access at Middle Road, if you know the area, it's really severely eroding right now. Yeah, very bad. And it's probably because, one of the reasons, probably because it's heavily used to launch kayaks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a neat place to launch a
Oh,
kayak.
those kayaks.
You know,
They're God's hitting us now.
there is a public access board launching site at the place off Route 1 there. What is it?
Yeah, right, try getting
And
to it.
it's ridiculous, and somebody should really,
Where is it?
force them.
Martin Burns, yeah, it's,
Martin.
yeah, you can't, you need
Oh,
not
down,
even
way
a
down.
four-wheel drive.
Right by
Way
the-
down, oh,
the
no.
Woods Hole.
Right.
Yeah, you don't need four-wheel drive, you need one of these, what do they call them, all-terrain vehicles to get in there, yeah.
But, you know, that's something the town could try to pursue is actually make that a real
Yeah,
access point. to
I
the
think that's
upper
right,
part.
yeah. All right,
Very smart.
what we did was, we got the transportation and recreation done, which I appreciate. And then at the next meeting, we will do land use and, community facilities, which you should have gotten mailed to you, so you'll have a
Yeah.
lot more time
Yeah,
to look at them than you did this time, which we apologize for. You wanna, we have so many meetings coming up, I don't know that we could set another meeting of this yet.
I think you should put it on the calendar.
What do you have? You mean, you wanna, everybody have summer vacation plans and stuff, or can we do something and, cause we've got June,
Updated the information on the second.
Man, that's rain, huh?
Yeah.
I hope it's raining.
we got the meeting with the Board of Selectmen on
That's
the
on the
27th.
27th, we've got our meetings on the 7th and potentially 21st.
Well, maybe we could do the 21st and do this. We don't have a lot more work,
Don't
we
be in
can
a
just
hurry,
get it out
maybe
with
we
the
may
another meeting.
wait
But there's
till
better
Saturday.
work done, we don't have, you know what I mean?
I just thought of that, didn't say anything.
And we'll do it 21st, and either we'll have a planning board meeting for a half hour, and then meet after. Can people do the 21st of June?
I can do it 7:30 on.
Okay, that's perfect. We'll probably have a short planning board meeting that night, and then we'll do, master plan and those items,
At what time?
7:30.
June 23rd.
Is that the solstice?
First.
It is the solstice, my favorite day. Always
What
my
type of day
favorite
is it?
Wednesday.
You start getting shorter.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
then it goes downhill.
Oh, man.
I think that's the night we're doing the community housing meeting.
Yeah, we got to sit here for.
Well, like I said,
Hey, maybe that'll stop.
they,
With the meeting now, you see?
Supposed to stay away from those facilities on a
Sorry,
thunderstorm.
sorry about that date, we'll have to get back to you with a different date.
okay, scratch that one out.
Scratch that one,
Oh, scratch.
14th,
so we could do the 14th.
it's gonna be a lot of meetings in a row, but
When I went to Pitter Hall to check today, there was a guy there doing technical for anybody that wanted to learn technical. And I'm like,
Technical what?
You mean
technical
computer?
computer work. He said he does one up at the library and he does one at Pitter. And I said, wouldn't it have been nice if you talked to us so we could put it on the sign and put it in our newsletter and put it up on our website? That's another thing with communications in the town. The town set this up somehow.
Is that
through the
town out
library.
of that?
Yeah,
Wow.
through the library.
But I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was just a library program.
Well, isn't that the town, the library?
a lot of
Yes,
silos.
no.
I think you mean-
But anyways, I said to him, just at Pitter, you know, we have many, many people that you can get it communicated to. And I said, if we had known, we could help with the website, with you putting it up on it and everything else, and then you know, we get more people. He's been there like 10 times with nobody there. I'm like, he's just sitting there, listening to the story. I'm like, this is nuts.
It is.
Okay, we're gonna have to move this meeting to the 14th,
Um,
either that or to July, and I don't think anybody wants to meet in July.
it's
14th. 14th, everybody? And then it would be at 7 o'clock. Can you do 7?
Got a date to 7:30 on the 14th as well. It's all right,
Don't worry.
I'll get here when I can get here.
Okay,
Shall we adjourn?
Just-
we will adjourn. Thank you all.